Hello and welcome to Nintendo Pals Podcast, episode 88. Tonight, we're talking more about Switch Sports, and we are going over some newly revealed Premium Edition games coming, and will be up for pre-order soon, with guest Barry Carenza, and we're going to talk latest news and Nintendo Pedometers. All that and more. Greetings, fellow Nintendo Pals. My name is Andros. I am one of the co-hosts of the Nintendo Pals podcast, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host and all-around awesome guy, Micah.
Yep.
And we are also joined tonight by returning special guest from Premium Edition Games and Nintendo Fuse. It is Barry Carenza.
Hello, everybody. It's awesome to be back. Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, we have to redeem ourselves from that last time we had you on, and we got into the topic of cheese and pizza. We're not going to do that here. We're not going to open old wounds. But we had a blast. It was so fun, and we're glad to have you back, because you being back means that there's some new cool stuff coming, which we're going to get to. We're going to get to. But first, how the heck are y'all doing? Barry, how's life?
Life is crazy. Obviously things at Premium are really, crazy right now because product launch is always a fun time. But other than that, life is lots of lemons, and it's about, making as much lemonade, I think, as possible and trying to stay as positive as possible.
And that's the way to do it. So I listened to the Premium Editions podcast, and hearing your guys' stories about just how hectic it gets, and like having to personally drive shipments to places and things at last second to try, like, the behind the scenes work that y'all do or are doing for people that are ordering these games is incredible, and it shows. I mean, people love it. So I think it's a labor of love, and you can't deny that.
Yeah, it's tough right now because we're in the middle of transitioning warehouses as well. So we're doing a lot of it ourselves now as opposed to using a third party. And so we have a bunch of stuff we're shipping, but we had to ship from one warehouse to another warehouse, and they're not like right next to each other. So, we have to wait for the new deliveries, and then obviously pack it up and get it out there. So we're going as fast as we humanly possibly can as a small team. And
on top of all that, like, shipping around the world is just messed up beyond belief, and has not recovered from world events, and continues to struggle from new world events. So totally get it. Totally get that. That would be a stressful position, because a lot of people, I've seen it. I've seen this, like, culture, especially around limited run games, because limited runs gargantuan, but people going like, yeah, I ordered it, but it just takes so long for it to get produced and get to me that it's like that people kind of have lost a little faith in that. But at the same time, that's the way it is. Like, there is not a way around that. And if you care enough about getting those physical goods and all of that swag, which is awesome, by the way, I'm excited to talk about it, as you can tell, then there's good things come to those that wait.
Exactly. Well, we're trying to personally cut down our lead time and our production time. We feel gutted about the Robot Deluxes, Robot Name Fight, when everyone loved it, everyone got the deluxe, and we hated because we had the book written and everything, but it was freight shipped. And because of the canal incident, freight shipping is so behind, and then the incidents, the docks is all that delay at the docks and unloading. So, I mean, these are the guides. They were shipped. They're heavy. so we can't ship it. That's just way too expensive. So we had to use freight shipping, and the whole team hates to have to tell people like it's going to be delayed a little longer. You guys ordered it in June. I'm so sorry. This was out of our control. We're so sorry. So thankfully those are now in and have begun shipping, which is wonderful. Series 3 is about to follow as well. But our goal is to cut down production time as much as possible. So like our earlier series, we didn't do like lot checks until after the pre-orders. And now we're like, no, like Series 4, all their past lot checks. The art is all in approval for Nintendo now. So we're waiting for approval, and we're going to start getting the production, like all the manuals and stuff. They're all written. So we're hoping to, take that production time down as much as we can so that everyone gets their games a little sooner. And because we move slowly, that's our focus.
Well, if anybody listening, if even that little tiny glimpse of what it's like behind the scenes, if you like that stuff, definitely check out one of Barry's podcasts, the Premium Edition Playcast, which is out on all podcast platforms, where they like dive deep into what's going on behind the scenes and sort of tease stuff coming for the future. It's a great show. But you also do another show, all on Nintendo, and that's Nintendo Fuse. And you guys recently hit a milestone episode, 250. Yeah.
250 episodes. Which is crazy. That is so many episodes.
And you've been with Nintendo Fuse not since the very first, but for more than half of that, right? For a while.
I joined them about 9 years ago at this point. I think it was episode 92. I was a caller, because we used to have callers, and I was a caller, and I had such a good time. I called back, I think, on 94, and then by like 96, I was like a permanent member, and now we're at 250, and we just recorded 251 earlier. So yeah, more than half. I've been there, and it's a blast. We love just this, just being able to talk about video games and just have fun doing it. To me, that's making it in life. Just being able to talk about whatever your passion is and having fun. Then you're doing something right.
Yeah, check out that show. It's also fantastic. Jumping over now to Micah, how the heck are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, I see your camera's blinking in and out of existence a little bit there.
I was noticing that, but I was a little scared to try and unplug it and plug it back in. Sometimes that also causes issues.
Micah is just too handsome for the camera. The camera can't quite handle it, so he struggles in that regard. Oh, but we appreciate having you on, Barry, to talk Nintendo and talk games. So what do you guys say we jump into... Well, actually, I am not going to skip over the first part of our show this week. We got to talk about some 5-star reviews. Micah, do you know what we're doing tonight?
Does it involve the world?
Oh, it does. We're going to do the same thing we do every Friday night, and that is try to take over the world of Nintendo podcasts. And we do that through your help by leaving us 5-star reviews. If you have not yet left us a 5-star review, you can do that over on Apple, Podchaser, Audible, and Spotify. Those are all spots you can do it. And if there's other spots, do it there too. Links to all that are in the description. We have a new 5-star review this week from a longtime listener to the show. We got Maddie Beth, who left a review on Podchaser, and it says, "This is such an awesome podcast. Between Andros's enthusiasm about everything Nintendo and Micah's growing hatred of Ocarina of Time, it's the perfect balance for great, positive, family-friendly discussions about everything you need to know about every week in the world of Nintendo." I'm sorry, I couldn't keep a straight face for that Ocarina of Time.
It's nice to be so well understood.
Oh, yeah. Anybody that listens to the show for any amount of time will find that Micah feels like maybe there's a little too much love for Ocarina of Time. But don't worry, everybody. I've got you covered. I love the game still. Thank you so much for leaving us a 5-star review. I believe this is from Maddie Beth. It might actually not be. This might be a different Maddie. So if it is, I apologize. Thank you for the 5-star review. And with that, I mean, we've had several weeks in a row, Micah, with like 4 or 5 5-star reviews in a row. And this is the first week we've just got one. We kept the streak alive, but let's keep it going. Thanks everybody who leaves us a 5-star review. And while you're out there on the interwebs helping us out, be sure to drop a subscription over on our YouTube channel and a follow over on our Twitch channel. We're trying to reach 1,000 followers on both those platforms. It helps us out a ton, helps people discover the show, and y'all are awesome. That's enough self-promo. Now let's jump into the first segment of our show, and let's talk what you playing. Barry, as our guest, I'll let you go first. What have you been playing lately in the world of Nintendo and beyond, if you want to share?
Yeah, in the world of Nintendo, I haven't done as much. I'm still doing Animal Crossing, just doing daily stuff, and Pokemon Unite daily stuff. I just did play a game called The Sorrow Virus, a faceless short story. That I did that one for review for Nintendo Fuse. And that's an interesting, it's a first-person psychological horror adventure game where you pretty much are stuck in purgatory, and you've got to figure out a way out of purgatory while trying to right the sins that your character did during their life, because they've invented this sorrow virus, and what it does is, like, if you're dying of a terminal illness and there's no cure, they can give you this sorrow virus. So when you die, instead of going beyond, you wind up going to purgatory. And if you're able to escape purgatory, you actually come back to life. And you can kind of prolong your life while they try and figure out a cure. But when you come back, you're still suffering, and you will eventually die again. So it's kind of like giving people chances to try to right the wrongs inside their head while they try and figure out cures. Really, really weird stuff comes from East Asia Soft, and that's out now. If you like that kind of stuff, it definitely has some really disturbing images and pop-up scares, but
not for me, but to each their own.
Yeah, it's not my kind of game either, but I got a code from them, so I'm like, all right, I'll play it. What I've mainly been playing, and I just finished, is Horizon Forbidden West. I've decided to go into that in 45 hours or so. I called it quits. I couldn't do all the side stuff. I beat the game, but I'm not 100%ing it. It's just, there's too much. Yeah. There's too much content in this game, but it is a lot of fun.
Micah, you're also playing Forbidden West, right?
Yeah, actually, it just beat Zero Dawn yesterday.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you're playing the first one. I didn't know.
The expansion, I guess, the Frozen Wilds.
Yeah, Frozen Wilds.
I'd be in the regular campaign like a week before that.
Frozen Wilds was pretty good.
So I'm a little bit behind, but still enjoyed it.
Are you going to jump right into Forbidden West, or are you going to take a break? Because I took a break between the two.
Yeah, I think I'll take maybe a week or two, and I'll probably jump in.
It's interesting, the dynamic, and I think in between the two, if you play them really quickly, because I just did Zero Dawn and Frozen Wilds not too long ago. I took a month break between, and Zero Dawn is all about the mystery of the world. You're like, what is going on? Why are we here? You're trying to piece put the pieces together, and you do by the end of it, and I'm not going to spoil it. In Forbidden West, it's more about culture. It's like all about the different tribes that live out west, and they're one culture versus another, and if you like that kind of stuff, you're going to love Forbidden West. But if you couldn't care less, I've heard a lot of people say, like, I couldn't get into it because it's all about the culture of these tribes and how they deal with each other.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'd heard, that some people didn't mostly like the story that surrounds the second one as much.
The overall story, I think, is good. I mean, the mystery's gone, so there is still a mystery to do, but like the what is going on in this world is gone. It's answered in the first game.
It's just different, I think, than what some people were expecting from the second one.
The second one kind of gets out there a little bit and sets up an interesting. They do set it up for a third game, much like they set up the second game after Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
All right. So that one is going to be a trilogy. We have talked about in comparison to Breath of the Wild because
no question,
because they are like, what if we got a trilogy for Breath of the Wild, not including Age of Calamity, which doesn't count.
I like Age of Calamity.
It's a great game, but I don't think it counts for the trilogy.
It's a what if.
It's a yeah. That's a great way to put it.
What if?
Well, awesome. So too busy shipping games to play too much on the Switch. Sounds like. Anything else you want to highlight? You've been playing?
That's mainly it. I've been playing some games that I can't talk about. But secret games, but that's about it.
Awesome. Micah, what have you been playing?
Well, I decided to keep it pretty light because I knew you'd be really excited to talk about Switch Sports.
Oh, you know it. You did it for me, not because you were playing Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, just for you. But yeah, I mean, I did not play too much Nintendo related. I did play a little bit of Rocket League though, and I haven't yet, but I need to play some Smash Bros because we have a little tournament coming up, and I definitely need to practice.
Ah, yes, that is a great thing to bring up, and we probably should highlight that here in the show. This coming Saturday, this would be May 14th, we are doing a cross-community Smash Bros. Tournament with us, the guys over at Super Gamecraft, Carpool Gaming, and our buddies, the Nintendo Dads. All our communities are coming together for a bracket tournament of Super Smash Bros. And this is open to all, and we need everybody that is listening to come join because quantity over quality with the Nintendo Pals. If we have enough of us in there, we're bound to have our community win, right? That's how that works.
If we have enough people, we can get enough fluke wins to win the entire tournament.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is you subscribe to the Zerg mentality.
That's exactly it. Yep. We're all about that. We're all about just throwing numbers at it, and we'll solve the problem. No, but it is open to all, and so don't feel like you have to be like pro level Smash player. Open to all skill levels. I mean, they're letting me join.
But if you are pro level, definitely join as a Nintendo Pal member.
So for me, games I've been playing this week, primarily two games. I'll hit the first one I talked about last week, the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. I did complete it, got the true ending. I'm putting big air quotes on that because the true ending is just more reboots. This is slight spoilers, so I'm going to get into slight spoiler territory here for Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, but this will not ruin the game experience for you. But the game ends with the option to keep the Stanley Parable going. And they're like, yeah, every time you sign in, we'll just put the next number on and a new subtitle. It's the same game, but now every time I log in, it's like the Stanley Parable Deluxe 3. And then I think it was like The Legend of Love, and had like different goofy title screens and things. But yeah, getting the true ending of the game actually was a bit of a puzzle solving challenge. It was a lot of fun. But all in all, like total to completely 100% the game and get to see every ending took me 5-ish hours. So not a crazy long time, but man, it was so fun. Worth every penny I put into that game because it makes you think. It's a game that really like is funny, but thoughtful and just it's an experience that I think everybody needs to experience that is in the gaming sphere. That's my opinion. Plus, my favorite character came back for the very end. It was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. That's the Bucket. The Bucket is my favorite character. The Bucket of Comfort or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. But the big one I want to talk about this week, because I've had more time with it, is Nintendo Switch Sports. And I'm going to preface my thoughts here with, I like this game a lot. I think that the actual sports themselves are very well designed. I like all of them. I have favorites, I guess, that I prefer over others, and favorite modes that I prefer over others within those sports. But they all feel good to play and are just a lot of fun.
Make it sound like you're going to bash on it a little bit.
I was waiting for that. Like,
But-
you're setting us up for the hammer to fall.
But yes, there is a but. There's some decisions in this game that I question. I question some problems. So there's just some like minor nitpicky things I have on like UI. First off, to open the game, you do need 2 Joy-Con controllers to start the game, even though 90% of the sports, well, I guess there's only 6, so whatever, 5-6 of the sports only use 1 Joy-Con. So I've had this happen to me multiple times this last week. While I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna fire this up to play some bowling, and then I have to get up and walk across the room, get the second Joy-Con in order to sign into the game. It won't let you sign in with just the single Joy-Con. That's a little bit of an annoying thing. And that small bit is essentially stretched across the entire board. There's just minor things that stack to make the game not quite as awesome as I think it should be or could be. I think the sports themselves are fantastic. There's not much I would change in those. But like just design choices around the game as a package are weird. One of those being the online and the progression system. I like the progression system a lot. I think it's really cool that you play sports, earn points, and every time you earn 100 points, you get to unlock a reward. And you pick those rewards on 2 pages, and new pages appear. I think they're going to be weekly or bi-weekly, something like that. And you pick one, and then it randomly selects a reward on that page. And those are actually different depending on who's playing. So my son has different rewards on his page versus what I have on mine. And sometimes I'm a little jealous because he gets better stuff than me. He got a cool bowling ball. I didn't get that on my page. So he was like so excited. He's like, oh man, I got a new. So you can change the design of your bowling ball, your tennis racket, your sword, those kinds of things. You'll get different cosmetics. All of it's cosmetic. So nothing is affecting gameplay really. But unlocking the different outfits. A couple problems I have though are that the points are like you have to play two games in order to unlock a reward minimum, and if you don't do well, you have to play 3. Although I did have a bowling match today where I earned over 100 points. That was crazy. But speaking of bowling, online bowling, knockout elimination bowling, which I was super excited for, I do not like. Everybody is already too good at it. So anytime you come in, first frame, more than half the players are going to get a strike. Second frame, all strikes. Third frame, all strikes. So if you are not playing perfectly, you're knocked out in the first round. And it's just not very fun because it's play perfect or get eliminated. There's a second bowling mode that you can play in local and every once in a while gets thrown into the mix. I haven't had this happen, but I heard from our buddies over the Nintendo Dads that once you're in like ranked matches, it will mix in challenge bowling. And challenge bowling is awesome. It is really cool. It randomizes the course with different obstacles. There will be walls that move back and forth, ramps over pits, moving conveyor belt things, bumps in the course. It'll have slopes and just a lot of it. It's almost like a miniature golf course, but for bowling, if that makes any sense. And it's completely random every time. That would be a lot more fun for online knockout because there's skill involved with it that isn't just bowl perfectly. You've got to really adjust to where you are and do that. And I just, every time I play that mode local with my kids, I'm like, this should be the online one, not the regular. Because right now you can't choose. It's just maybe sometimes you'll get that. And so it's design choices like that I'm a little bummed by. I think that the game is really great. I think it's definitely worth the cost of entry. But right now, where I'm sitting is it's not as good as Sports Resort was. That doesn't mean it's a bad game. Sports Resort's pretty hard to live up to because it had the progression system. It had all the stamps. It had so much content for all the sports. So I'm just surprised that this doesn't quite hit that mark. You know, those are my thoughts. This is from the ultimate Nintendo Switch Sports hype guy. I still love this game. I think the sports themselves are solid, but the way that they have wrapped the game around the online focus maybe misses the mark just a little bit. It's really good. Also, the online works really well. So you'd be surprised how well that works. Yeah. I hope I'm not turning people away from getting the game. I tried to preface this with like, I love the game. I still am really enjoying it, but there's just like minor things I would tweak.
Be a little better.
Yeah.
Could be a little better.
Yeah.
I like how you preface using the two Joy-Cons. Like, I have to get up to bowl. What is this world coming to?
Yeah, wow. Switch Sports where you have to actually exercise just a teensy bit sounds terrible.
The funny thing is that only soccer uses the two Joy-Cons.
That's not true. The sword fighting uses two.
Oh yes,
swords.
You were right, Barry. Thank you for the correction. Yeah, so the swords also you can use the two, but it's only besides that it's soccer, and soccer doesn't feel like Wii Sports. Because every other game, you're doing the motion that you would do to play that sport. It's an intuitive motion. Bowling, I'm swinging my arm like a bowling ball. Soccer, I'm swinging my arms and moving with a joystick. It's not soccer.
They said they were going to add the leg strap.
Yeah. Oh, and I did try the leg strap game. It's a mini game that can only be played local. And it's a soccer. It's just, we played versus.
Shootout, isn't it?
Yeah. It's terrible. It is so slow and boring. There's nothing to it. A ball comes at you really slow, and then you time your kick, and then you have to. It's I kid you not. You would like sit through like 10 seconds of different little cutscenes, plus pushing the button for the next player to go. It's such a pain to play. Maybe I need to play single player, and maybe it would be a little bit more enjoyable. And then towards the end, we tied. My son and I both had the same score, so it went into overtime. And for the overtime, it got interesting. The goal started changing sizes, so you actually really did have to aim. But what? The game was favoring my son, y'all. My goal was smaller. I kid you not. It gave me a small goal, and then I was like, oh, okay, well, I went first, so he's going to get a small goal next. Massive. And I was like, wait, he gets just free reign. And then he missed still, thankfully for me. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to get a big one now, right? Back to small for me. It just sensed, it's trying to it was like it must be some sort of sensed handicap. They're like the kicks from the 5-year-old's legs are really small, so we'll give them a big goal and we'll give this full-grown man playing the harder kicks.
No, don't leave us in suspense. Who won?
I won. I won.
Did you?
Yes, I did. Despite the game working against me. What you're
trying to say was your son's better than you.
He's pretty good. He is pretty good. We have an absolute blast playing that with local as a family. It is a bummer for him because he doesn't have an online account. So he's doing all of the online progression through his mom's account. And it's like, man, getting the game for kids, I just wish it had some progression offline. I see why they don't, because the rewards are sort of distributed online. But it comes back to, we've had Barry on here before with the pet peeves with the dependency for online, and like this game is not. It's not a physical game. It's very much built around an online infrastructure, which just feels weird for Wii Sports. I know we're hypocritical fans because that's what everybody was asking for back when they were like, why can't we play these online? And now that we can, we're like, why can we play these online? We're typical, but why can't we have both? Why can't we progress on offline and online? I think that would be cool.
With the bowling, with the elimination bowling, because I did the test, and the tests they did elimination bowling, and I had a blast with it. And I definitely noticed it obviously depends on who you're paired with. Like I never hit the final round either time that I did it. But one round I just didn't do well. I think I did like a 120, but the other round I did like a 160, 170. At the point when I was eliminated, which was like 8 frames in or whatever. And I was like, if I had that score in the other game, I would have won the whole thing. So I'm wondering why they don't do some kind of, since there is progression, why they don't do pairing you against people of like skill.
They do.
They do.
Yes. But it's not unlocked right away. And it doesn't tell you that you're going to have that. So I've played... Maybe, I think it unlocked for me about like 6 matches in online. It was like, you have now entered ranked bowling matches and you are rank E. So I believe I'll be being paired against other rank E. But it was very not upfront, like that there even is a ranked system. Why not have that as an option? I just want to play. I mean, this is how a lot of online competitive games are. Look at Rocket League. You can play free play. You can play, what is it called, Micah? Ranked competitive, yeah. And that one has a ranking system, and you're matched with like skill. Yeah, totally get it, Barry.
See, when I play Pokemon Unite, I stopped doing ranked, and that's mainly because they have like different, depending on your rank, they have, let's just say 1 to 7, and they'll pair you with anyone of your rank, 2 ranks below, or 2 ranks above. And there's times where I go into the rank and I get everybody on my team, the other 4 members, are 2 ranks below me, and I'm playing against the whole team of 2 ranks above me. And needless to say, they're all
probably
us.
In the same group. Too.
They're probably all in the same group. Perfect. They crush us, and then I lose points because when you lose, your progression goes down. And I'm like, what? I was the MVP of my team. Like why should I lose? Like that's unfair. That's like playing with it on a team of 5-year-olds versus a team of NFL players, and you're playing football. Like, of course you're going to get crushed. Why should that count against you? So I wish like Nintendo,
the MVP, you should just like not lose.
Yeah, that's my thing. If you're like the MVP, you because if you're on a team that's doing crappy, like in a ranked, you're already throwing the towel. Like, let's just surrender. We're wasting time. But if you get MVP, then you have something to work for. Oh, I'm saving myself. Like I'm saving losing rank. And I think that would change the meta game. So if you do get crappy luck, you can get something. And the same thing here. Like if you're paired against people who are getting strikes every time, there's no way you're advancing past the first round. And it's kind of like maybe they sense it after a couple times. And so like, oh, you haven't made it past the first round like 2 times in a row. Let's pair you with some other people who haven't made it past the first round 2 times in a row or something. Some kind of system that makes it more fun, because no one likes to lose, and it's not fun if you just go there and you're constantly losing.
Crushed, yeah.
Yeah, especially if you get crushed.
I mean, it probably just takes like a few games from like get the data they need to kind of rank you. But it'd be nice if they had some indicator that's what was happening.
Yeah, I agree. Because I mean, if you lose like by 1 point or 1 pin, like it's really close. It's a challenging match. But when you just get crushed, it's just like, why should I continue playing this game?
Yeah, on that note, with bowling specifically, if you're playing co-op online, because you can play with 1 or 2 players in online matches, and you do a ranked bowling, you can have one of you get eliminated and one of you go on, and the person that gets eliminated just has to sit there. That, for me, I'm okay with the ranked bowling, but it's not designed for that co-op play. And oftentimes my son will be like, well, this is boring. I just have to sit here and watch. And I'm like, I feel bad. That's, like that you can't. Why not let them keep bowling? They're out of the bracket, but they can
for fun see how they would have done or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why not?
This way you could at least see the rankings. Like the 4 that are eliminated can go for 8, 9, 10, 11th, and 12th and see where they place.
Yes, exactly. That would be a very welcome change, I think, because then you could keep practicing and just get better at the game as well. Online bowling is like one of my favorite sports in the package. I love the specialty bowling. I don't think I can highlight enough how much fun we played it like 4 times in a row today.
Bowling from Wii Sports was one like my least favorite.
Yeah,
wow.
I think you would really like the special
thing.
Yeah, I think that's why I think you would really like the specialty bowling.
I would say the special bowling sounds cooler since
and on local,
a lot more dynamic.
Yeah, on local you can change its settings to be beginner, intermediate, or difficult, and the difficult is very hard. Like these are like tiny ramps over huge gaps that you have to perfectly or obstacles popping up that you actually have to curve the ball in order to hit the pins. It's super fun. I've also seen a lot of people go, like, say that the sports are too similar. They're like badminton, volleyball, and tennis. They're all net sports. They're too similar, especially badminton and tennis. I don't quite get that because I think they feel completely different to play. Badminton and volleyball, I am fairly certain it is impossible to hit out of bounds. It's volleyball is all about timing and somewhat aim, but it's all about that getting in rhythm with the other player. Badminton is like that, but solo, and you're kind of watching a little bit of like your stamina. I don't know if that really makes sense, but if you tire your character out, they will fall over, and it takes them a little bit to get up, and that's the moment to strike. So you're trying to tire out the other character, the opponent. And then tennis is precision aim. Like tennis, you can hit it out of bounds. If you're not swinging at the exact right timing, it will veer. So I don't think that, even though those on paper seem like they'd be too similar, they are actually very distinct in gameplay. So
one thing that boggles me about tennis is that you have to play doubles. Mm-hmm. Like it seems weird. Like you wouldn't allow them to also play single player, singles.
Yeah, I mean you in those forced doubles matches, you have 2 characters. Yeah.
Yeah, but still, like, there's a big dynamic between doubles matches and singles matches.
Yes.
And it'd be cool to have singles matches as well. That doesn't seem too far-fetched, because Wii Sports had single matches too, I believe.
I can't remember. Did it have single matches?
I think it did have single matches. I thought it did.
I know
it's been a while since I played Wii Sports.
Wii Sports Resort had table tennis, which was...
Yeah,
that. It was the same sort of mechanics, and that was single. Yeah, we'll have to look that up. But overall, I still highly recommend the game. It's $40 for the digital. I got the physical, and yeah, the leg strap. It wasn't necessary. I feel like that was just shoehorned in there to make it so they could sell something with the thing, because it's like that soccer kicking game. I don't. Maybe once they add it to the actual soccer, it'll feel a little bit better. But I think when you have the option to hold a controller for precision kicks versus having a leg strap in kicking, and you're playing in online competitive games, nobody's going to use the leg strap. So they've already set it up to fail.
Those people that played Mario Kart with the wheel.
They weren't playing it competitively. I mean, maybe.
You know what though? That would be fun for party games though. Hey, you all got to do it, but we all have to use the leg strap.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and it does support multiplayer with the leg strap, which is what we did. We have 2 because we had the one from Ring Fit Adventure, so we were both able to play with our own separate controllers. Yeah, really great. It's really great, but there's those like bits that kind of hold it back from being like peak of the series.
It's really great. I've just been complaining about it for the past 40 minutes, though.
Well, we'll move on, Micah. All right. But yeah,
I'm always down for some sports bashing. You know me.
Some complaining about video games. Yeah, I know. I do know you.
Any video game that you like, I'm down to bash on.
Well, with that, that basically wraps up what I've been playing this week. I had so much gaming fit in last week. Oh wait, no. There's one game, a big one that I want to talk about. Slay the Spire. I tried for the first time with this last week.
It took me and Eli trying to convince you for like 8.5 months for you to finally try it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome game. I really like it, and I want to keep on going with it. I've unlocked the first 3 characters and tried all 3 of them in just once. So I've done 3 runs essentially. I'm not sure which style I liked the best. They all play so very different, and I'm just a big fan of card games in general, but I don't have as much time to play tabletop games as I used to. So this was like a really great way to get that fix. And Slay the Spire is very good. It is very good. I definitely recommend that one.
If you like tabletop card games like Magic and stuff like that, there's a game on the Switch that I highly recommend, and that's Shadowverse. Champions Battle.
Shadowverse. All right, I haven't heard of that.
That game it has a physical, and it is like so much better than it has any right to be. I put over 100 hours into it. It's just addicting. I don't know if you ever played Magic or used to,
I've played. I have played a digital version of Magic the Gathering, because I never got into like the physical collecting, because that is an expensive hobby. Mm-hmm. It racks up quick.
Did you ever see Inquest, the old Inquest magazines? They might still be around. Mm-mm. It was like Inquest was a magazine for Magic players. It was different cards and sets, but on the back they had this thing every single issue called Dead Man's Hand, and it pretty much presented you with a situation, and you were dead next turn, so you had to win, and there was a specific combination of cards you could play in that situation to win, and you had to figure it out. Like, how could I turn this around? It was really cool. Shadowverse actually has a bunch of those for you to challenge through the different decks. They give you scenarios,
that's cool,
and win in one turn if you can. And there's like 100 of them or something like that. Or even more. There's like so many that they added in. I'm like, this is so much content in this anime game that involves saving the world by winning with Magic cards. But it's so good. And there's a demo, and the demo progress carries over to the main game.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, like, definitely gonna give it a shot.
Let me try it, and because I love Magic and I haven't played in forever, and that's what Slay the Spire kind of reminded me of, because I fell in love with this game. I'm like, this game is so much better than I thought it would ever be.
Nice. Yeah, I'll definitely give that one a look. That's definitely a Micah game as well. I'd say Micah's even more into those games than I am.
Yeah, I played quite a bit on a friend's Xbox 360.
Yeah, we used to play. There was a mode in that I would love to see come back, which was like a boss.
Three-headed giant or something?
Oh, three-headed giant is great.
Yeah.
That was with 3 players, and you couldn't attack the center one until you had killed off the outer 2.
I don't think. No, so this was like, there's a boss that you're fighting.
Okay.
It's 3-on-1. And the one was a computer player, and he had a boss modifier deck that just
sometimes
was unfair.
So broken.
It would do things like kill all monsters on the field, like just brutal things.
Well, kill all opponent monsters.
Yeah, not theirs. No, yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I do remember that.
But
what I was thinking of was Emperor. I think we called it, where we had it was 3v3 and you couldn't attack the center player until you killed the satellites of the other team.
That sounds cool too.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. There's just a lot you can. It's really fun to see games like Magic the Gathering, the Pokemon TCG, these card games that are being manifest in these indie video games that are card-based battle systems, because there's things that you can do with that are so fun and unique and cool, and it's way cheaper than getting into Magic the Gathering.
You don't have to worry about the rules and obscure rules and weird things, ambiguous things. They kind of lock you in with what you can and can't do.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well.
If you like Magic, the Shadowverse does that, and they even have like an underground area that it's like a CD bar area, and there's different rules, like the old Vanguard cards, if you remember there, where it was like, all creatures actually gain like +2 attack or something for everybody, like extra rules on top of the rules only here because it's like illegal playing. Like they spin it that way. It's really interesting. On this packs, you get rules. Packs and you get expansions and you can upgrade, and it's pretty in depth. So if you like Magic, highly recommend it.
That is awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely be checking out that game. Well, with that, why don't we jump into the first segment of our show, and let's talk some Nintendo news. All right, at the top of the show here, or at the top of the news segment here, we're going to turn time over to Barry, and we'll talk with you about it as well. But just this last week, the Premium Edition game Series 4 Direct went live, and now have announcements for, I don't even know how to count these, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 10, like five new physical games coming out, and with all sorts of stuff. And a lot of these are like, there were a couple I hadn't heard of, but a ton of them are some pretty prominent indie games that really made waves when they first launched. So I'm pretty excited for you guys, and I'm excited for these to get physical versions. So I don't know. I'll turn the floor over to you. What do we got coming in Series 4?
So we did announce our Series 4 Directs, and Series 4 titles I can't speak. They go up on May 10th is the open pre-order until June 10th. So all of our standard premiums, they're $50 and they're open pre-order. So as long as it's during that window, you won't have to worry about missing them. Our retros, which are $70, those are limited to 500 only. So if that does interest you, make sure to get those in as soon as possible, because we can't guarantee that there'll be any left over. So the games that we announced for Series 4 are two games. We announced Wonderling DX, which is this super cute 8-bit, 16-bit style puzzle platformer where you're auto-walking. You play the role of the Goomba equivalent, and you got to stop the Mario equivalent. You are the bad guy. And you have to go through each of these levels, finding secrets. There's tons of hidden stuff. There's collectibles in every level. And the added challenge is these flowers. And one of the objectives is to collect all the flowers, and if you collect a flower, the next time you try, it'll be open to let you know it saved your progress. You collected that one. But if you don't collect flowers for a certain period of time, you'll see a heart appear, and you'll start to dwindle down, and you will die. So you have to make sure, because some stages have you going back and forth, that you purposely don't grab all the flowers to leave some for your backtrack so you don't die. So it's a really challenging way of doing it. Plus, there's other powers. You get dashes and jumps, and you can fly with different powers, and it's just a wild take on the genre, and it's done so well with a lot of humor. And because this is the DX version, there's all these added levels after you beat the game. There's a bunch of hidden stuff, and we wanted to make sure that's all on cart. So that is a complete game on cart with all that added stuff. The other game is Rain in Your Parade. And Rain in Your Parade is in the same vein as Katamari Damacy, Untitled Goose Game.
I was going to say, it's like Untitled Goose Game, but you're a cloud.
You're a cloud suspended by string, and you're going out and you're just causing havoc. You're creating tornadoes, you're raining, you're lightning bolts, every level has different objectives, and you're trying to accomplish these objectives and figure it out and just have fun doing it. There's levels that pay homage to like Metal Gear Solid and Legend of Zelda and a bunch of other classic franchises. It's a big game, and after you beat it, you can actually go back to all the levels. There's bonus objectives to do, and just have some fun with it. But on top of that, there's also DLC, which adds new levels, new modes. There's like a mini golf, director commentary, like all that stuff. And that's also included on the cart here. So you're getting the full game plus the full DLC all included in the physical package. So those are both coming May 10th till June 10th, both the standard premium and the retro editions. On top of that, we gave an update for our Sunshine Anthology, which is a Kickstarter that we did a couple years ago. That's from Fossil Games. They did Sunshine Manor and Camp Sunshine, and the games are done. They're on Steam. They're currently being ported to the Switch. So people have been asking us for them. We always have to give updates. We want to keep people informed what the progress is, and we try and always incorporate the developers in our presentations. So, thankfully the developers, decided to record some stuff for us, and the update we got was recorded directly from the developer himself. So it comes right from the horse's mouth, as they say. Then we announced something that we're beyond proud about, which is the Premium Edition Classic Series Volume 1.
Woo!
And what this is
so excited for that one.
There's a bunch of aftermarket NES games out there, just programmers that love the NES. They make games for it even as of this year, and they may make a physical NES game, or they'll at least release a ROM, just because they love the NES so much, and there's such nostalgia for that. We took 10 amazing aftermarket NES games, and we put them together. We ported them to the Switch, and we have them in one package. It's one physical, so when you pop it in, it's one icon. You open it up, and you get to pick what games you want to play, and you put the cartridge in the in the NES. So we got Ore Body, Binder's Tale, we got Nessie the Robot, Space Raft, Ninja 1 and 2, Kubo 3, Assimilate, Jester, Era the Crow Maiden, Doodle World, and Yaya BB's 2 are all on there. Some people say, what about digital? These games will also be released digitally separately. But the physical is actually going to have some bonus games that are not available digitally. They're only going to be available as this physical. And this is coming summer 2022. We don't have an exact date yet. It's still being, finished being worked on. But we're really happy to do this, and we absolutely are looking forward to Volume 2. And
I know. I was gonna say you guys let the cat out of the bag early, naming it Volume 1.
Oh yeah.
I was like,
oh yeah.
I know there's gonna be more. I know.
There's so many games, like aftermarket games, and we're like, we want. I mean, these developers love Nintendo so much that they're developing for a system from 1985, and that no longer is supported by Nintendo. So to have those games now officially released on the current Nintendo system is a dream come true for these developers. And we're honored to be able to do that for them, because
this kind of thing needs to happen more, honestly, because there is so many great ROMs and games being developed for older systems, even beyond the original Nintendo. This is a cool deal, because it's going to open up an indie scene, a new pocket in the indie scene that has not been tapped, not been tapped enough. Unless you know what you're doing. I watch a lot of we've had on the show Cosmic, speedrunner for Mario Bros. He does ROM hacks every week on his NES and pulls just really, really cool developed things. So it's really cool to see that getting tapped in a bigger way with Premium Edition.
Absolutely. Well, these aren't ROM hacks. These are all original titles.
Right.
Fully developed. And that's what's fun. And a lot of people have asked us, they said, well, what about other systems? And we never stated that it's not called the Premium NES Classics. It's just the Classic Edition. So we're not saying every volume is going to be NES stuff. So we're open to look at other systems too. So we want this to be an evolving series. We just want to do it justice. And we want to do the games justice and not just be like, here's 100 games, boom. We want to be a little more tasteful and just have some fun with it, because whenever you deal with a collection, some people might say, oh, well, this game doesn't look as fun. Well, that's okay. It's a collection. You have other games, you'll find something you like. And we think there's a good variety of titles here from very, very talented developers. And we're proud and stand behind all of them. And we're honored to have them. But that wasn't even our final announcement. We had a tease.
I liked in the presentation here, you guys had your hype button, and Barry hit the hype button one more time in the presentation, and I mean it didn't disappoint. The hype button brought hype.
Oh, it did. This is something that we've been so blessed to be able to do, and we've been so internally excited and just really wanting to tell everybody, but we couldn't. And we said, this is the perfect time. Let's do it. because we were just like, oh, the classic edition is enough of a one more thing. Like that's a huge thing, and so let's try and top it. And we decided we worked with the developers, and they gave us that special. They created that special little teaser for us, and we were able to announce Raji, an Ancient Epic, the Enhanced Edition, is coming physically to the Switch. That is Series 5. That is their first Series 5 title to be teased. And Raji is just one of those titles where when the indie showcase happened and it was shown off, I showed it to my wife immediately. She went and downloaded it that day. She loves Indian culture. She loved the look of it. She loves the story. She fell in love with that game. And she's like, this needs a physical. And I'm like, I agree. And we've been in contact and reaching and trying, and the stars aligned, and we got some communication, and we've made some really good friends with the team. Nottinghead is a very, very talented, amazing team, wonderful people to talk to, and we were able to make things work. And sure enough, it's coming. But they informed us about the Enhanced Edition, and we're like, well, that's the one we want. We want to make it complete. So they're going back. They're retooling the graphics. They're fixing, some minor complaints. They're adding Indian language support and a bunch of other things. And that's the version that's going to be on the cart. We're going to get the final version of that game.
Yeah. That's so cool. Especially see a game that was prominently showcased in an Indie World Showcase coming out physically through Premium Edition games. Super cool. Big get for the team there. So congrats to you guys. And it's just an awesome game. I have not played it myself, but our buddy over the Nintendo Dads, Neo Prime, Tim, loved it. He was calling that his indie game of the year when it first launched. So.
Did he see the announcement? Do you know?
I don't know.
Oh,
I haven't talked to him since it came out. So yeah, Tim, yeah. If you're out there, yeah.
We'll see.
Get excited.
For us, since we do, we go slowly, all of these games are games that we have to play. Like every game we release is a game we play, we have to love, we have to really get behind, because we want to move slowly. We want to give the attention that these games deserve. Or we want to give them the time, we want to give them the spotlight. And, not every game is for everybody. We understand that. Some people love robots. Some people may say, I don't like robots. Some people may love Demon's Tier. They may not like it. Some people love Super Blood Hockey. Some people say hockey doesn't have for me. That's fine. Doesn't matter. What we do is we want to take games we care about and put them out there and introduce them to people, because there's something that was magical about Series 1 when we launched, because, we were new. And we did the challenge cards, and all of our releases at the challenge cards, where if you don't know what that is, the developers give us a challenge, we put on a card, and the developer really tasks the players, all of you, to do that challenge. And should you do it, and you submit it on social media and send us an email, here's the link, my address, all that, we will send you in the mail a physical challenge patch. And then you could go ahead and you could wear it like I am, or you can put it in the game case or whatever. It's your physical achievement. And with Super Blood Hockey specifically, I got so many emails saying, hey, here's my challenge submission. I want you to know I had no interest in even opening this game. I got it because it was limited, and you guys, it's your first release. I wanted to get it. But I was intrigued by seeing people post challenge patch submissions. So I wanted to try the challenge myself. And now I can't put the game down. This game is amazing. I'm having so much fun. Thank you for introducing it to me. And that wasn't just one email. We got like dozens of people saying that because I'm not going to play a hockey game. And it's an RPG. And a lot of people don't realize it's an RPG. And it's just so cool to be able to take these games because there's hundreds of games always released. It's impossible to play them all. So many of them slip through the cracks. And we just want to give attention to those we find to be a ton of fun. And you know what? If you're unsure about the games, I know like Wonderling has a demo, for example. You can download the demo and try it. I'm not sure about Rain, but if you pick up the games, try the challenge, you might find yourself falling in love with it. You might not. Right. I mean, everything's subjective, of course, but we've really discovered that so many people out there are falling in love with our titles. It was the same thing with Phenotopia Awakening. No one heard about that game. That game just fell through the cracks. The developer themselves said, you don't even want to put this game out. The digital sales are terrible. And we're like, we love this game. What are you talking about? This game's amazing. Of course we want to put it out. And so many people, I've never heard of this. I got to have it. I want it. And Phenotopia Awakening is really a darling. It's an amazing title, and since Series 3 will be shipping soon, I'm really waiting for people to start earning their patches because they came out really good.
Oh, and those are nice for those listening to the audio. Like it is a beautiful looking patch. It's so
these are the
so cool.
3.
It's like it's achievements, but you get an actual thing.
Actual thing.
So
cool.
Cool.
These are the Series 3 patches. I've yet to get them on, but for all 3 of those games, so they're out. The Series 4 patches. I think they're being worked on currently. They're not finalized yet, but it's something that we love to do because so many people buy games and they put them on the shelf. They leave them sealed, and it sucks. So we want people to play them. But
wait, Barry, aren't you one of those people?
Guilty, totally guilty.
Barry has everything, so that's
totally
he gets a pass. He bought all
impossible.
of them.
It's impossible to play them all. but that's just it. We're saying, hey, these games are worth your attention, and that's something also we did when we were looking because we're premium edition. We want to raise the bar. We always want to raise the bar in quality. And one of the things we did is we looked, and it cost us a little more, but we said, we know what we're going to do it. We're going to upgrade our slipcovers and our manuals, which a lot of people say, like, they love the slipcovers and the manuals. How can we upgrade them? We upgrade them in their higher quality cardboard for the slipcover, matte finish, foil. And if you have our Series 1 and 2, they're great. When you see Series 3, because we decided to do it for Series 3, and we did it for the Gamers for Gamers versions, the thickness on the new cardboard is amazing. It is
solid.
It's solid. It's matte finish, so it has a shine to it.
It almost has like a board game box quality to it.
Yes, and you can hear, for those listening, you can hear it's a harder cardboard. It's not flimsy. And that's really where we're like, what's up it?
It's not a SNES box.
Not a SNES box. No, not at all. And that's what we want to do. And the manuals are a harder, thicker manual with more foil and matte. And we just want to keep showing that these are collector's items, and the game itself deserves to be a collector's item.
Mm-hmm.
So our standard premium is the equivalent of a standard collector's edition with everybody else. And of course, our retros just go above and beyond that. And the developers get to pick what they want, which is the coolest thing. All the stuff in the retro editions are what the developers want. They say, this is what I want in that edition, and we say, okay, let's do it.
Yeah, and it's all very cool. I will provide links in the episode of the description for anybody wanting to check out these all the stuff that is coming in Series 4. This goes live Monday.
Tuesday.
This podcast goes live Monday, the 9th. So if you're listening to this day one, this will be coming out tomorrow. So don't miss your chance, especially if you want to get some of those limited production
on
copies.
There's more.
Oh, there's more.
There's more. So premiumeditiongames.com for that. But we have a bonus for everybody that pre-orders from our website, because we do have distribution partners. We do have a bonus. An exclusive dog tag is going to be a bonus free item per game for everybody. So you get Rain on Parade, you're going to get a Rain on Your Parade dog tag. If you get Wonderling, you're going to get a Wonderling dog tag. And the Series 3 has dog tags for the pre-orders that will be going out too. And we've heard people say, what about your older games? So we heard you, and we're also going to have on the website, starting on the 10th, our classic dog tag collection. It's going to have our first 4 games, Super Blood Hockey, Pigeon Dev Games collection, Demon's Tier Plus, and Robot Named Fight, dog tags on a chain for $10. We're going to have that up there. So people can order that, and they can wear their collection.
Yeah, they're giving these away.
Yeah, no,
definitely
really
check it out. Everybody listening, you got to check these out. I have heard glowing reviews for Wonderling. Our buddies at All In, I believe, were the ones that were like all in on that. They loved it. And then I haven't played any of these, but have heard just fantastic things. So this is a great opportunity if you want a physical collector's item and all the swag it comes with. I'm just going to leave links to all of it in the description so you can go see for yourself, because me describing it, or Barry and I describing it, any of us trying to like sell you on it. You just got to see it. It speaks for itself. You just got to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that about covers it. Unless you have anything else you want to highlight, Barry?
The only other thing I'll say is for all those that have supported us, we appreciate your patience with Robot Deluxe. Those are shipping now. Series 3 will be shipping out within a week or so. Like I said, we just switched warehouses, so we're working on that. The orders are going out slowly, but we're going out as fast as we can. And for those that missed, if this is the first time you're hearing about Premium Edition games, if you want Series 3, if you want Robot Deluxe, stuff like that, we do have second chance sales coming after Series 4. So it won't go up with Series 4, but after Series 4 ends in June, we will do a second chance sale for those that missed it, so you still have your opportunity. Another thing is if you're at conventions, you can find two of our team members, Josh and Sheena for Gamers, and you can look for their Gamers for Gamers exclusive variants. So they have Demon's Tier right now. We showed off the covers for Series 3. Those will be out soon. If you purchase one of those at a convention, 20% of the purchase goes to the Gamers for Kids charity. So Gamers for Kids winds up putting in video game consoles, television sets, entertainment sets into group homes, children's group homes, to help those children, develop a love for video games and have some entertainment. And you're pretty much helping the next generation of gamers grow. And for those that can't go to conventions, we will have the Series 3 variants going up at a later date. We'll have some of them on the webpage just for you. And again, that's 20% more in price, but that 20% goes to the Gamers for Kids charity.
Man, it's a rad deal going on over there at Premium Edition Games. So definitely check them out. We'll have links to all this stuff in the description of the episode, so you can just quickly jump over there. And we'll also have links to Barry's two podcasts that you do on gaming. So with that, let's move to the next news item we got here. And I'm excited to talk to you guys about some of these because there's some interesting stuff going on. And I think Barry's going to have some really cool perspective on some of these acquisitions. Yeah, that's all we can say. But first, Reggie's new book, Disrupting the Game, is out now, and it looks like it's been selling great. I saw a post out by Reggie Fils-Aimé on Twitter. It had topped charts for I want to say it was entertainment, and that was the audiobook. So that's really cool. He's been doing the rounds, doing interviews with IGN and several other spots. So Reggie's making noise. That's always a fun time. He's got great stories. There's some really cool stories in the book. The one that he highlighted in the interview he did with IGN, where he convinced. He was the one that pushed hard to have Wii Sports included as a pack-in game for the Wii, and it actually made Miyamoto very upset. Like he was not. Miyamoto was like, "We do not give away games for free," and Reggie's like, "Well, wait a second. I've bought Nintendo systems and gotten free games. I don't know what we're talking about here." No, that's that. but it was one of those things where he pushed hard, and it's a good thing he did because I would say that Wii Sports was a major selling point for the system. So many people bought it because of Wii Sports, and it made Wii Sports one of the top selling games of all time. It is still Nintendo's top selling game of all time. So
does it count as a top selling game if you don't actually sell it?
Right. But I mean, people were buying Wiis. So I think it was a good choice. Would you have bought the Wii if it didn't have a pack-in? Yes, but I think there were quite a few people that did buy the Wii because it was like it already has value, and that's what Reggie was pushing for. This shows what the system can do. They even tried to convince Reggie to do Wii Play alternatively, and he was like, no. He didn't budge because he saw Wii Play in early development. He's like, no, Wii Sports is where it's at. This is going to be the game changer that sells.
I got a lot of people talking about it.
Oh, yes.
So.
What's interesting is if you look after that, they followed it up with Nintendo Land, as also like kind of like a tech demo for the Wii U. And the Wii U failed so badly, the Switch is like, oh, we're not going to do anything. And everyone was like, 1-2 Switch should have been included as the pack-in. What are you doing? And 1-2 Switch sold horribly because it was a standalone.
Yeah. Can you imagine the an alternate timeline where it was a pack-in? I think everyone would talk about...
1-2 Switch becomes the new highest-selling
1-2 Switch
game.
It would have, because just by default. But 1-2 Switch, I think people would talk a lot more fondly about it if it had been free.
Oh yeah,
because
it was a great tech demo.
Because it was a fantastic tech demo, not a $60 game. And this is where things get iffy here, because now we're selling Nintendo Switch Sports as a standalone game, and I know a lot of people that were like, "Well, Wii Sports was free. This should have been a pack-in." You know, it's hard to say how these things should be valued, but I did like Reggie's approach with there should be a pack-in with the system. Give it instant value.
Yeah,
I like that.
I agree with that.
And he just had a lot of really cool thoughts and stories. So I have not checked it out, but this is one I'm very interested in listening to. So I may pick up the audiobook, which I think he reads himself.
Yeah, I think he reads himself.
So that would be really fun to listen to. Yeah. Next bit of news, just a reminder that Summer Game Fest, just kidding. It's starting June 9th. I tease. It's really cool that Jeff Keighley has stepped in to try and fill the void that is left by E3. Maybe a little gloaty about it, but it's kicking off June 9th with lots of stuff, and I think it's condensed to a couple week period as opposed to like a couple month period like it was the last couple times. So that's the part that kicks me, is it's not quite consolidated enough to feel like it's an event. It feels more like an overarching organized bunch of chain of events, which I guess is what E3 is, but it's so condensed that it's like, I liked it better that way as a consumer. But
you're not alone. I mean, they're going to start off with the showcase, which is what most people are going to watch, and then they'll do however many days or weeks of interviews or special premieres, and the truth is the majority of people won't pay attention until an IGN article goes, "Oh, new trailer for this," and "Oh, I'll just watch that there." Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not going to sit there and watch all of Summer Game Fest. Because like you said, it has to be condensed at this point. Like, even when Nintendo did the Treehouse during E3, it was 3 days, it was condensed, you knew what you were getting, and you could pick up and leave whenever you wanted, but you were one-stop shop, not 100 different events going on. They are also doing the Day of the Devs after, which is kind of cool. That's I think Tim Schafer usually does that with Double Fine.
Yeah, and that's a fun one.
So I like that
cool
they
stuff.
do that.
Yeah. I totally agree. Are either of you planning on watching the Summer Game Fest? Sounds like you're going to watch
the opening short, at least the showcase. I'll watch that.
Yeah. And Micah won't
do the same. And
I was going to say Micah's just going to wait for me to watch it.
Probably maybe do the same. And I might just let other people tell me the cool stuff.
Yeah. After that,
I'll just read the show notes. It'll all be in there. Everything I need to know.
Exactly.
Oh man. Well, speaking of show notes, I'm just going to keep on moving down the list here. Isn't that a transition? What a segue I've got going.
I mean, technically, yes.
All right, this next bit here. This is the big story for this week. The Embracer Group enters into an agreement to acquire, I don't know how to pronounce it, Eidos, Crystal Dynamics, Square Enix Montreal, and a bunch of IP and other assets. For the low price of $300 million. Now, I say low price. Actually, by comparison to a lot of the acquisitions we've seen this last year between PlayStation, Sony, and Microsoft Xbox, those were in the billion-dollar range, like billions and billions of dollar range. So to see something like this acquisition, some of the things they got in here, I highlighted some of the stuff that they highlighted in their article. Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Legacy of Kain, Thief, 14,000 employees. among which are 10,000 game developers, 124 internal studios, and they predict their upcoming content pipeline includes more than 230 games, with 30 AAA games. That is a lot of stuff. Like they got. It's so bizarre to see Square Enix in here, but it's like a subset of Square Enix. Micah, what were your thoughts when you saw this one?
Well, my first thought was, first of all, they wrote, when I read about it, it said Tomb Raider as one word, and I was like, what the heck is Tom Raider? It took me like 5 seconds to realize it was Tomb Raider.
Oh man. It's the like great value brand Lara Croft. It's Tom Raider. And
but yeah, I mean, it seems like Tomb Raider, at least like a few years ago, seemed to have a kind of a resurgence. So I'm kind of surprised to hear that they're selling.
They did the reboot, and they're like, this didn't work. Still,
yeah. I was like, I thought
it
had done pretty well.
It's a big name, right? Like Tomb Raider's huge. Tomb Raider's was big when first released, and even with the re-release was a big deal. So that was pretty crazy. And I think Deus Ex, that's a big game as well. These are big IP, but they're very. The thing I noticed in this is that these are very Western IPs, right? Like these are not Square Enix RPGs, and it's interesting to see them sell off a Western studio and a bunch of more Western focused IP, which doesn't seem like the step that Square Enix was moving. I thought that they were focusing more on. Actually, no, I'm mixing them up with just Sony. Sony is moving more Western in general. See, I'm making the classic mistake of grouping Square Enix and Sony together. That's not how it. Yeah, no, I refuse. Barry, what were your thoughts seeing this acquisition?
It seems Square, I thought, was moving in the right direction when they purchased Eidos, and they moved into more Western developments and let those IPs grow. Because I think they did a great job with Tomb Raider, and they tried with Deus Ex, and that seemed to do well. They didn't hit the sales numbers they wanted. Thief did not perform well, unfortunately, and I don't think they did anything with Legacy of Kain, even though they owned it. But it's one of those things where Square seemed to have this unrealistic expectations of sales. Like, they weren't happy with Tomb Raider sales, so the definitive edition came out of Tomb Raider, like the reboot. And it's like, you sold millions on the 360 and the PS3, and you still weren't satisfied. Like, I don't know if they just wanted Call of Duty numbers with their IPs or what, but they had these unrealistic expectations. And it seems like lately, whoever's in charge of Square is doing everything incorrectly. From Marvel's Avengers, which should have been great, and it didn't. And Marvel's Avengers failure suffered to Guardians of the Galaxy, which was great, but didn't get the sales because people thought it was, oh, this is just another Avengers. Then working with Platinum to do Babylon Fall, and then turning that into a games for service, so it's crashed and burned spectacularly.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Then they just announced, hey, we know Final Fantasy VI fans want love, so they released this beautiful Terra statue. I don't know if you saw this. They announced this beautiful Terra statue. Gorgeous. At the low price of $12,000. My guess to recoup some of the Babylon Fall money. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
They got to sell like 3 of them at that price.
They're going to sell it to a YouTuber who wants to say, look, I bought this statue for clicks to make money back on it.
Yeah. They also just had there was the big news hubbub with Yuji Naka coming out and just raking Square Enix through the coals for the treatment of Balan Wonderworld.
Balan Wonderworld's another case. Square is really not making a lot of smart business decisions, and now they seem to want to get out of the Western development. And this was a fire sale. $300 million is a lot of money to us. It's not a lot of money to a mega corporation. And some people say maybe Square wants to be bought out. Some people say Sony. I hope not. I hope they stay independent, or if they get bought out, it's by another third party so that games could go everywhere. But I had no idea who this Embracer group was. I was like, who bought this? Who swept up? And then I looked at what they have, and I'm like, they're huge. Like, oh my God, where did they come from? They came out of the shadows, and everyone's talking about Microsoft with a monopoly, and then Sony's starting to build a monopoly, and they're just like, hi guys, thanks for not paying attention to our monopoly.
Yeah, I thought maybe I'd just been living under a rock or something.
No. They were just silently there. And the way I understand it, and I could be wrong, but it seems like this corporation pretty much just buys studios and lets them do whatever they want as long as they're profitable. They're like, look, we have too many things to manage. So you make a game that you like, we'll get it out there, and as long as it turns a profit, you keep doing it because we're making money.
And it's not just video games.
No.
They own a lot. They are dipping into they own Asmodee, Micah, the board game company, which Asmodee's a big name in the board gaming scene. Dark Horse Comics.
Yep.
I mean, and just tons of game studios. They were formerly THQ Nordic, or they bought. I don't think they bought THQ Nordic. I think it kind of merged and became one thing. Yeah. I don't know, but there's I have a number here. I don't remember exactly where I got it, but they have 800 plus owned franchises.
Yeah,
that is massive. This is like if Walmart all of a sudden just came out of the shadows. We've been here the whole time. It's crazy because I'm the exact same way. I have Embracer Group. Also, does that not sound like the name of some evil corporation that's going to take over the world?
Trying to sound not super evil.
Yeah, this sounds like a dystopian future.
Embrace the future.
They have a T-shirt on that says, "I swear I'm not evil. Just ask me."
It's just a funny, it's just funny. And I think they need a rebrand. Embracer Group, not a. That sounds like an evil villain name. Just throwing that out. That's right up there with Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated. Embracer Group. Yeah, that's. But then coming back to what you were saying, a lot of people saying that Square's trimming the fat to try and sell their core company. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what that entails, but it does seem like they are trying to slim down, and getting rid of some of that dead weight does make them a more appealing purchase.
You see, I would think it would be more appealing with Crystal Dynamics and Eidos and all those IPs, especially at $300 million. I mean, we're talking Sony and Microsoft that's dropping billions of dollars for an extra $300 million. I'm sure any company would be like, I would have taken Tomb Raider. What are you talking about? And the studios too. I mean, it's not just the IPs that are bought. It's just the employees. It's the actual studios. That's a lot of talent they just snatched up.
Yep. A lot of development companies. And it is interesting to see that they sort of operate as you guys just work independently. You're just under us. And we
get some of the profits.
Yeah. So it is an interesting behind-the-scenes monopoly thing happening here. I don't like it. That's how I'm going to put out there.
I like their business model, though, to be honest, because sometimes corporate meddling does some really crappy things. And if a studio is able to create whatever they want freely, that can lead to some really good things as long as it's
that doesn't happen. That's rare.
Rare is
get it?
By Microsoft. Rare
was butchered. Yeah, it's a really terrible.
I knew just
joke.
where you were going with it.
Oh yeah, it's so true. So I mean, on the bright side for a lot of these, maybe these game development companies are going to now the sales of Tomb Raider are going to be good enough. You know, they're not going to be these unrealistic. This needs to sell like Call of Duty, like you were saying. Hopefully this is better for the developers and the development teams and the small companies within this. But I also just don't like all of the acquisitions we're going. It sits uneasy with me in general.
There's more. Sony has announced already that there's more. Like, people said, like, oh, did you buy Bungie because of Microsoft? And they said, no, this has been in the while, like in the works for a while. So there's more.
You haven't seen what we've bought in response to Microsoft yet. Yeah, I do sort of hope that Square Enix stays independent, though. Like Barry said, because
if they go anywhere, I hope they go somewhere where they're allowed to do, like Microsoft is allowing games to still go on other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Sony will not. Sony would be like, oh no, Final Fantasy 16 is going to be exclusive, and oh, Bravely Default 3 or Bravely Third, we're going to make the final, exclusive version only on PlayStation and PC. But like, oh no, you're not getting that. Screw your relationship that you've had with Nintendo.
Yeah, that's my fear, is getting the rug yanked out on a lot of the Nintendo exclusives. I mean, because you got Octopath, you got the new Live Alive, all those 2D HD remixes,
Triangle Strategy,
and like you said, Bravely Default. There was that Voice of Cards, like Square.
That's on PlayStation as well.
Square's doing a bunch of games that are coming and were coming to Nintendo. So I'm just hopeful that that doesn't go away, because I feel like they're a big third party on the Nintendo Switch. Although, can we get those Final Fantasy Pixel remasters?
Yes.
Like, where are those?
So long?
They haven't sold well enough on mobile. They'll probably sell those off to Embracer Group soon too. Square. Listen, I give Square a lot of grief, but they have done quite a bit to support the Nintendo Switch. So I want to see that continue. Yeah, for sure. Well, besides that, Embracer Group, if you're looking for another acquisition of 300 million, Nintendo pals will sell out in a heartbeat. So just reach out. No, just kidding. We won't sell out for that cheap. We're worth at least $1 billion.
I would like to sell my half for 150 million, if that's possible.
We just sell Micah.
Hey, things like that have happened before. Look at how Epic Mickey came out, where they had to trade a newscaster for the rights to Oswald the Rabbit.
Yeah, that was weird. That was a weird case.
So weird.
And a weird game, but it was really fun. That's all we have going tonight in the Nintendo news segment. So why don't we jump over to the next segment of our show and talk a little bit of rumors. That is right. We have just a couple small rumors to talk about. The rumor Pikmin are busy at work looking for new things to bring us. But this week we have one coming from, I can never pronounce this news outlet. It's Nikkei Asia, reporting that Nintendo Switch shipments may be lowered by 10% from fiscal 2021 to 20 million units due to supply chain issues. We talked about that at the top of the show. There's just a lot going down in the world of shipping. So Nintendo Switch shipments may be lowered, and these may be, again, harder to find. I remember there was struggles with the OLED. Those seem like they're back in stock pretty strong everywhere. But if you're looking to get one for the holidays, shop early. It's a good note to take. So not really too exciting stuff there. The next little bit of rumor we have is a recurring rumor that just won't go away. No, we're not talking about the Switch Pro. We're talking about rumors of a Twilight Princess Wind Waker Switch double pack are surfacing again. And this is from, various sources of people that are like, I know someone inside that knows someone that knows someone. But the report comes from Go Nintendo talking about these rumors coming back to the surface again. How likely do you guys think these are to come out? A Twilight Princess Wind Waker Switch double pack. What are your thoughts, Barry?
I mean, we've been predicting this for a while, whether it's a double pack or each individual. I think those seem to be, they've always been safe safe to assume, and obviously they've never come to fruition. But with Breath of the Wild 2 being delayed, and Nintendo stating that they want a Zelda game every year, and they've delivered a Zelda game every year. In fact, one year they delivered 2 because of Cadence of Hyrule. There's nothing slated for this year, so what better time than June to be like, oh yeah, for the second half, we don't have Breath of the Wild, but we're finally going to give you these because they're easy ports. Let's do it. And we had all these other Wii U ports, so why not?
Yeah.
So I think it's a safe assumption. But knowing Nintendo, they could just at the same time be like, you thought you were getting them. No, instead you're going to get the Oracle games done in the Link's Awakening engine. And I would be totally happy with that too.
Yeah, I saw actually a lot. We had a lot of chatter on our Discord on this specific rumor going like, oh, I wish that they would do another Link's Awakening remake for like Oracle or Minish Cap. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of want for that as well. People are like, I don't want to see those two again, but I wouldn't mind. I'm okay with Twilight Princess.
I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, any Zelda is good Zelda for me. Micah, what are your thoughts? You think this is coming?
Nah, I think we've.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I feel like partially just because we've heard about it too many times, I've become a cynic.
Yeah, you know what's going on. Like, it's going to be something like the Switch Pro, which turned out to be the Switch OLED. We're going to get like, it's not going to be Twilight Princess and Wind Waker. It's going to be like it's going to be Link's crossbow training or something like that. Like
even better.
Yeah. Link's crossbow training remake.
How about if they do the Zelda CDI trilogy instead?
Oh gosh,
Nice.
it would sell.
I would love it.
People would buy it for the memes, I think.
Yeah.
So I think I'm still on board. I think these are coming. It doesn't make sense for them to leave them on the Wii U. It's easy money, and Nintendo won't turn down easy money. They resell us.
Beg to differ.
They seem to do that sometimes.
Did you not notice how much we had to beg for Xenoblade? Did you not remember Operation Rainfall?
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah.
No, but when it comes to Mario and Zelda,
Oh, really? What about Mario Kart 8 and Hyrule Warriors limited editions, limited to 500 only for the entire North American continent, only sold in New York? Because North American people do not like Mario Kart or Zelda.
or special editions, apparently.
Or special editions.
Yeah, okay, I
money.
take back. I'll backtrack. Bad statement. But every other game has come. Like, there are very few Wii U games left that have not been ported to the Switch, and every one that gets ported quadruples its sales. Like it, and so these aren't like crazy difficult ports either. I don't think. I don't know a lot of what goes on behind the scenes, but from a technical standpoint, they seem like it wouldn't be too hard. I imagine they're done, and they're just waiting on when to release them. But here's my take. It is not going to be a double pack. Quit dreaming, people. There's no way they're going to sell these as a double pack. It's going to be two separate things. Maybe one at a time.
How would you feel if they did it two separate things, but if you bought them together, you got a slipcase that you also fit like Skyward Sword and maybe a few other games?
I would buy that in a heartbeat. I don't think they're doing that either. That's the thing.
That's easy money too.
Yes.
How would you feel as if you could buy them separately, but if you bought them together, it actually costs 1 penny more?
Hey, that's Pokemon. We're not talking about Pokemon.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why. That drives me absolutely insane. It actually technically costs more. I think they might have changed that at some point. So it's now actually it's like 98 cents.
I do not believe that these are coming in a double pack. I think that's just wishful thinking. I would love it. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. It's my prediction.
Yeah, but I mean, back to like the trying to do one Zelda game a year. I mean, unless they were kind of planning and knew kind of a while ago they were going to be delaying Breath of the Wild 2. I don't know if they would, unless like you said, Andros, they just have it done somewhere and they're just waiting for a good time to release it.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine.
I mean, it seems like they would have to rush it pretty hard to actually get it out this year.
Well, You know what I want to know is Breath of the Wild launched, in March 2017, but we all know it was done prior to that, and it was delayed for the Switch launch because it was done for the Wii U. The team has been working on the next Zelda since. That Zelda team's been working on Breath of the Wild 2, and they have the Breath of the Wild engine to work with. They have that Hyrule that's already built. It's a great starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Monolith Soft launched Xenoblade Chronicles 2 in 2017 as well, but in December, the end of the year, followed a full year of updates for that game with the season pass and a brand new game with Torna in 2018. Then in 2020 put out Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, which could have been another part of them working on it. And now in 2022 have Xenoblade Chronicles 3 coming out in just a short few months. And Monolith Soft has helped on other games as well, including Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
What is that team doing? How could Monolith put out all this great open world, beautiful, or epic RPGs in a shorter amount of time than the Zelda team can get a sequel? Look, Majora's Mask was done in 2 years, and that was just running off the Ocarina of Time engine. How come we're waiting, 5-6 years now for Breath of the Wild 2?
I don't know how to break this to you, but games have gone a little more complex since Majora's Mask.
Of course.
but even you take that out, the Xenoblade thing.
The Xenoblade.
Monolith Soft's
Xenoblade games are huge.
They seem to be just like pumping things.
Monolith Soft is putting everybody to shame right now. It's interesting.
What if Xenoblade 3 is terrible?
I doubt
it. 3 hours to beat.
Keep in mind.
No way. There's absolutely no way Xenoblade will be 3 hours.
A single side quest.
We've seen all the cutscenes in the trailer already. Yeah, no.
Keep in mind also, Definitive Edition also had Future Connected, a brand new, game using, a lost, forgotten area that wasn't used. So they were able to even do that. And yes, I do believe Monolith Soft is comprised of 3 teams: the main team, the side team that did Definitive Edition, and then a third team that helps out. But still, even the main team went from 2018 to 2022 to put out Xenoblade 3. And how come Nintendo's Zelda team can't go from 2016 to 2022 with Breath of the Wild 2 using that engine?
Well, that's because they never developed Zelda quickly. I mean,
plus,
when did they really start on Breath of the Wild 2? Because they did have the champions.
Yeah, they did. DLC. They did do the DLC afterwards.
But the DLC was like so minor. It was such a disappointment. They had one new dungeon, but we all wanted to see more like behind the scenes.
They had more than what? They had some more shrines and things, didn't they?
They had a couple of more shrines and one major dungeon.
And the whole sword, the Trial of the Sword. I didn't even talk about that. I played that this week as well. My goodness.
The Trial of the Swords. The Trial of the again, those are small modes though.
Yeah.
But let's take that into
more memories.
But right? isn't Breath of the Wild 2? I feel like I heard somewhere that Breath of the Wild 2 was essentially like we wanted to do more DLC, but then it just became too big, and it's become.
That's what I'd heard.
That's what I'd heard as well. But now, now that it's been such a long time, as Barry points out, the gap, it's like this can't just be like an overdeveloped DLC to Breath of the Wild. This has to be huge. This is as much time between Skyward Sword and Breath of the Wild. Not quite as long, but we're getting to that point.
Well, hear me out. What if the game's already done and they're just holding out for the Switch 2, and they plan the Switch 2 in 2023, and they're going to do a simultaneous launch because they did it with Twilight and they did it with Breath of the Wild. So what's to say they won't do it again?
Stop.
That needs to
never happen.
Look, they've done it. They've done it twice now. So what's to stop them from doing it a third time?
Listen, the real thing here, Barry, is that Breath of the Wild 3 is going to be the cross-platform launch, right up there with Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah.
Oh man, I really don't know. I was blown away when it did not come this year. Like honestly, I was shocked.
I expected it.
I know so many people did, but I was like, how? It's all those points you made. It's the same engine. It's the timing is right. I mean, granted, there was a pandemic in the middle of that, but Monolith Soft is doing just fine.
Yep.
Plus, it seemed like
your little brother. Why can't you be like your brother?
It's coming along just fine.
That's a terrible
At least Metroid Prime 4, we knew it got restarted, so it was like, all right.
But then we haven't heard anything of like 1,200 days.
Yeah, I know.
Who's counting? Micah's counting.
They're hiring.
They told us about it, and then like 2 years later, they're like, we're restarting, and then like 4 years later, we haven't heard anything.
Yeah,
we at least got Metroid Dread.
Yeah, that's true. Metroid Dread.
We've had Skyward Sword.
Yeah, we got Skyward Sword HD for the anniversary.
I'm Micah makes a good point though. If they had to have known they were delaying it.
Oh yeah.
To have Twilight Princess and Wind Waker coming this year, because that would have been the planned Zelda thing this year. But I'm wondering if it's just a swap in the year cycle. Like the Wind Waker, Twilight Princess was planned for next year as a closeout for towards the end, because we're a little over halfway through the life cycle of the Switch, according to the vague comments made by Nintendo executives. So I imagine they don't want to wait too long on doing that. So I believe that they're coming, and if they are not coming this year, then they would have been coming next year, and I don't think they'll release them the same year as Breath of the Wild 2. They don't want to overload it. That will kill the sales. The sales. Just
what they'll do at E3, at the E3 Direct, is they will show off a new trailer for Breath of the Wild 2 to get hyped, and they say, "Well, it's not coming here. Here's your consolation prize," and they're going to give us that.
Or even better, in Breath of the Wild 2, they have Wind Waker Link, and it's a crossover.
Keep dreaming, Micah.
That's not happening. Hey, you know what? That could be another 2-pack, Phantom Hourglass Spirit Tracks.
Ah, yes. I would be down for that. I actually really enjoy both those games.
Same. How about Four Swords Adventures, or Four Swords, the Anniversary Edition with Four Swords Adventures? Because the Anniversary Edition you can't download anymore. That is literally lost.
I have it. I have a rare gem with that one, and it is a great game. It's really fun.
Great.
There's also I've always wanted them to port over Link Between Worlds. I think would be a really great one to port over. They were doing some 3DS ports. Triforce Heroes. That one doesn't necessarily have to, but it could.
But it could go in a 3-pack with Four Swords and Four Swords Adventures.
Right, like the 3DS collection, like the Mario 3D collection, something like that.
Like the Zelda multiplayer collection.
Yeah, that would be really cool. That would be super cool. But I don't know. I feel like all this stuff, we said money on the table. I feel like all this stuff is just going to be left there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, I feel strongly. Those are coming.
Well, I guess we'll see. I think you're right, though. I think they're coming this year.
Well, that's all we got going in the rumor mill this week. Thanks to all the little Pikmin that we send out each and every week to bring us back rumors. And let's move over to the last segment of our show. No, this isn't the last segment anymore. We added a new segment. I forgot about that. But we have community corners. Let's just go to the community corner. Oh my goodness.
We swear we're professionals.
I've done this show how many episodes? Listen, Barry's at 250. If I can make it to that, then I'll have made it to the professional level.
Then you'll be a professional.
We have several questions that we got in the community corner this week. The first one being from Hunter of the Guild on YouTube, who asks, "Hey there, Nintendo pals. I was wondering, what are the different ways I could submit a community question?" That's a fantastic question to lead with. If you would like to leave a question or topic for us to talk about on the show, you can do that by reaching out to any of our social media channels. We see almost everything. You can leave a comment on our YouTube channel and on any of the podcast episodes. You can tag us on Twitter or respond to a tweet with a question. You can send us a DM on Twitter, Instagram. You could shoot us an email, nintendopalspodcast@gmail.com. But the easiest way, and probably the way we get the most questions, is through joining up the Discord and posting in the hashtag Community Corner channel. And that's where the rest of our questions this week came from. So, yeah, those are the many ways. We'll find a way to answer your question. There's tons of channels. Links to all that stuff is in the description. Am I missing anything, Micah? I don't think so.
You got it.
We also do have a question section for listeners on Spotify. And we have received a question through that before as well. So yeah, send us smoke signals. I'm sure we'll find it. Like get us those questions. We love to talk. Yeah, we love to talk in the community corner on topics that are submitted by listeners, like this one from Kid Fiasco. Question: do you guys expect for there to be more N64 games added to NSO besides the ones announced? And what direction do you guys think it will head towards in the future? More DLCs or different console emulations? We actually have a second question that deals with the what systems do we want to come to NSO? So we'll answer that in a future question. But do you guys think there's going to be more to the N64 beyond what's been announced?
Absolutely. Wasn't there a leaked document that showed so many numbered N64 ROMs, and there was blanks, and there was enough blanks to fill in with other games. So yeah, absolutely. That would be terrible if they're like, this is all you're getting. Thanks for paying us extra.
Yeah, I agree.
How many of the games they initially announced have come out for N64?
I know we're still missing Kirby and the Crystal Shards, and that might...
Majora's Mask. Yeah, I think that's it.
That might be it, actually. We're just missing Kirby.
So they should be getting some sort of announcement.
No, did they show Mario Party as well?
No, they didn't show Mario Party, but the document had 3 spaces in between 2 other Mario games.
That's right.
Where Mario Party 1, 2, and 3 would fit in perfectly.
There was also a space for Wave Race. I remember that. Mm-hmm. They were like, this looks like it would be Wave Race. I think that there will be more. Pokemon Snap, has that come? That hasn't come yet. That was in the original announcement. The original Pokemon Snap.
I think you're going to... Actually, it might have actually come out. The original Pokemon Snap.
I don't think so. I don't think it has.
I think you're going to get every Nintendo first-party published game outside of maybe the rare ones, but maybe we'll get them since Banjo-Kazooie's there.
Right.
And then select third-party titles. I'd love to see games like Mischief Makers and Hybrid Heaven and Ogre Battle 64.
Ogre Battle 64 would be so cool. A lot of those games are so hard to get now, too. So to have a way to play them would be very cool. Because they're really pricey, hard to track down and find. Yeah.
Harvest Moon 64, come on, bring it on.
Yeah, that would do very well.
Right.
How many Animal Crossing copies have you sold, Nintendo? Just give more games like that. It's not not rocket science.
How about the N64 version of Animal Crossing? It was Japanese, but say, hey, they did Sin and Punishment. Why not throw that in there? Because Animal Crossing was an N64 game.
What? They won't, but that would be so cool. I know. I'm such a downer on what Nintendo will do. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. I have no hope of that. Hey,
if it's a smart business decision, they're not going to do it.
Hey, you Pikachu, maybe? Hey, you Pikachu would be cool.
One can hope.
Pokemon Stadium? I don't know how you would do Hey, you Pikachu. There's no mic, so.
Mic. Use button commands. He probably listens better that way.
You type it out.
Type it out. What do you think, Micah? We're getting more? Did I already ask you?
I think we'll get some more. Unless they decide to come out with the GameCube.
How about more?
I don't see that happening.
How about more DLC? I think yes. That seems to be the strategy they're going with. Mm-hmm. Any new game that's coming with a paid DLC it'll be bundled into the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. So, I mean, already that has, if you were going to pick up that DLC, that has more than paid for itself for a year subscription. So,
you're going to see Breath of the Wild probably come out when Breath of the Wild 2 ever comes out. You'll probably see Xenoblade Chronicles 2 launch, and maybe even Torna with Xenoblade 3. You might see the first Fighter Pass for Smash Brothers to get more interest back in there for those that didn't get the first Fighter Pass.
Oh,
you'll see older DLC.
That would be crazy. I don't know if they do the Fighter Pass, but that would be very cool.
Fire Emblem 3 Houses, I think, had DLC. You could do that. You'll see them strategically. Like they're doing Splatoon 2. They just added because they were talking about Splatoon 3. Get people ready. So they'll use it as an extra way of advertising and getting people hyped for a new game coming out.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And they'll plan it strategically like they did with Splatoon a few months prior, so it's not overlapping. So you're like, hey, get hyped for Splatoon 3. By the way, here's a sale on Splatoon 2. By the way, DLC's free for expansion pack members. It's a fire sale. Like get it out. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks so much for the question, Kid Fiasco. We'll address the second part at the end here. We have another question from Preston Magnificent that asks similar. Next question comes from Nintendan. Awesome username, by the way. Brand new to Discord. Says, I've been playing RPGs since the SNES, and I have always just played the three main characters, or like whatever, the three main characters that picks, and nobody else until Final Fantasy VII. There, I discovered that at the Sephiroth battle, I had to fight with everyone, and none of them were ready. It's been hard for me to play RPGs because of that. And my question is, when you play RPGs, do you only play with the same three characters, or do you switch out the characters and try and level up everybody equally? And it says, thanks for the amazing podcast. Thank you for the question, Nintendan. I'm going to toss this one to Micah first, because Micah's the RPG guy among the two of us. So,
I generally level up the people I like. In fact, in the earlier, when I was younger and I played Pokemon games, I would essentially just have my one beefcake Pokemon that I would use to wipe everyone out with. And all my other Pokemon would be like low levels, and they'd be for the HMs to like cut trees down and stuff.
That's interesting. That is not how I played Pokemon. I leveled up almost everything equally, but my starter was always a little bit higher because he's my favorite. So I would always have
I'd say more recently I've been a little different. I usually level up like 4 or so.
But in that game, I mean, it is pick your 6 favorite. Those are the ones that are leveling up. Everything else is going to stay in the PC. And you're not going to have at the final battle all of your Pokemon come out from the PC, like against Sephiroth.
They're all just getting annihilated because they're on level like 7.
Yeah.
That's the Zerg mentality you were doing before.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be a little useful. At least if they'd use up all your opponent's moves.
Yeah. Barry, how about you? What's your style for playing RPGs and leveling up?
That depends on the RPG. I mean, some RPGs you only have a main cast and you don't have any reserve cast. I'm a big fan of XP share. I know, like, in Pokemon, some purists are like, no, I want to constantly switch out and waste more of my life. And I'm like, no, I'm fine with just killing it and everybody getting experience, and that's fine. I don't have the time to sit there and grind everything to level 100. Like, no, thank you. So I like it in RPGs when, even if you do have a back cast, they get experience, even if it's a little bit less. And sometimes I will use primary ones, like in Persona 5 Royal, I mainly used a set group because they had the right elements to usually be able to break any of the foes, and it worked well for me. But because everyone gained a little experience, if I had to switch or the story put other characters in play, I was fine. I like to play who I feel comfortable with and who works in an RPG, and when you have to switch it out, like I remember doing Final Fantasy X, God, 2 decades ago. I feel old. That was one of those where I would literally start the battle with the 3 that I liked least, and then my first turn would just switch out to my main 3 and then attack. And I would do that every battle to level everyone up, and it was such a time waster that I prefer now when we do get the XP share. But again, it depends on the RPG. I like when RPGs force you into scenarios where you do have to use everybody, because you might discover that somebody else is really good and you just didn't give them a chance because they weren't part of your starting roster. And if you talk about Final Fantasy VII with Sephiroth, play Final Fantasy VI. That has a much bigger cast, and also you have to use everybody all the time. Like, this scenario will call for you to use specific characters.
I feel like sometimes it's hard to, you get a new character, but you're already so attached to your party the way it is. It's sometimes hard to swap someone out for a new character.
Yeah. I don't know. It really depends on the game. Like the strategy I'll take, because for me, I'm not a huge fan of having these massive side casts, you know, like there's just so many to pick from. But a lot of games like flaunt that as being like a big deal. Like you can play the game very differently depending on who you pick, which is cool. But I almost wish that a lot of those decisions were made up front. I kind of like the way Divinity, we played Divinity Original Sin 2, which has, for the main cast, I think there's like 6 potential characters, and you can only have 4.
Trying to remember, I can
There's
only think of 4 of them off the top of my
2
head.
human characters, the elf, the lizard, the skeleton,
Who's the second human character? I can just think of the one.
the bow guy, and then the possessed lady.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about
So
the
were there only 5? Who am I missing? No, there's also the dwarf. So there are 6.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And you can only have a party of 4, and if you make a custom character, that fills that slot. Which I don't recommend. If you play that game, play as one of the non-custom characters. And they do a similar thing with Baldur's Gate.
Story stuff.
Yeah, they do a similar thing with Baldur's Gate 3, although they do take a side spot in your party if you want. I like not having to make, like, you make the decision and it's done, and you don't have to worry about trying to keep the whole party up to date. I would rather do, I know this is, it is a time sucker, but I would rather do a subsequent playthrough with a different cast than be constantly swapping in the middle. Or just make it like Xenoblade looks like they're going to be doing with Xenoblade 3. Just make them all active in the thing at the same time. So like you're not going to have characters on the sidelines. It's going to be a party of 6, 7, 8.
I think 7 or something like that.
Yeah, it's just like seven people in the party, and they're all on the battlefield at once. That's a lot to manage. I get why.
That'd be awesome.
I get why some games don't want to do that. It'll overwhelm the players. But if you're gonna have that many characters, and you don't want to encourage multiple playthroughs, that's the way to do it. My opinion.
See, I also like systems like Trails of Cold Steel, where they give you a large cast of 9 characters, and you're like, oh my god, that's 9 characters. But then each chapter puts you on an assignment with only 3 to 4 of those characters, usually, or 4 to 5 of those characters. So you are limited for that chapter to only use those. But
Right,
the other
yeah.
characters that are on their field trip, they will level too. So when you come back in the intermingle sections, everyone's leveled. So when you go off with new characters in the next chapter, and it's a mix and match, they're leveled, so you're not underleveled. And then at the end, when it's the end of the game, it's like, all right, you have everybody here. Pick who you want. Pick your favorites. But you've had time to play with all of them, and you don't have to worry about leveling. Because if you grind, they're all being grinded up.
Yeah,
They're not in your party.
That's a great system right there. And like you said, XP share alleviates a lot of the issues I have with it. But I like the story element of having lots of characters, so it's fun. We have our buddy Mark, who's one of the co-hosts over at Nintendo Cartridge Society, is currently playing through Dragon Quest XI on the Switch, and that's another one where it's like a huge party. There's a big game event in the middle, and it resets, and you basically have to regather the party, and you play with different characters. That has a lot of that in it as well. So I feel like
sounds like some of us are just too indecisive. We're like, we don't want to make the decisions to change up the party. Make me change up the party, and then I'll have a good time. But it's kind of true. I definitely kind of fall into that category.
I'm definitely that way.
But XCOM helped me spread out my experiencing or grinding on characters.
Yeah, that's because they permanently killed the ones you liked.
Yeah, having your core group that you just like get really beefy and spend all your time leveling up is all fun and games until they all get wiped. And everyone else has been on like one mission, has no idea what they're doing, and they're useless.
Oh, so true. It's so true. Man, that's a good example. Thanks so much for the question, attendant. I hope that was a good answer. And yeah, sad to hear that Sephiroth was outmatching your party in that Final Fantasy VII experience. Hopefully they fix that in the remake, you know, the one that'll come out in another 10 years. By the time they get to the end of Final
Provided
Fantasy
Square
VII.
Enix still exists as a company if they don't sell off first.
Yeah. Look forward to the Embracer Group Final Fantasy VII Part 10. Thanks so much for the question. The last question we have comes from Presto the Magnificent. He asks, what other consoles would you want to come to NSO that aren't already on there? For me personally, I would want GameCube games. Mike, I can see you nodding in agreement. I figured GameCube would be good for you.
Essentially the greatest game console ever made coming to NSO. Sounds fantastic.
Why have we not seen GameCube come back in any way? Is it still too new on the Wii U? Like, I would have thought maybe it was time to like start bringing some games over.
Because if they did it, then they couldn't put Twilight Princess HD on the system because they'll give you Twilight Princess GameCube version instead.
Is that where the barrier? Yeah, is that where the barrier is? They're like, okay, well, the GameCube games are good enough that we can HDify them.
Sell those still.
No, I think this is a good question. I think the safe answer probably comes from the leaks of Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. Those definitely seem like the safe. Like they'll probably announce Game Boy, Game Boy Color for standard NSO, and Game Boy Advance for expansion packs.
Yeah.
What I would like to see, thanks to Sega Genesis, it now makes it so we don't have to stick with Nintendo because Sega Genesis broke the pattern. Which means I would love to see Neo Geo, TurboGrafx 16, Master System, Saturn. I would love to see Saturn. I'd love to see things that people aren't expecting.
Dreamcast.
Dreamcast. So again, Dreamcast falls into the possibly too new category.
Yeah.
But like even stuff like 3DO, like get stuff out there that people are just like not talking about because that gets people question. Oh well, I'm curious. I never had a 3DO. What games are out there? Let me check it out. Let's see what's there.
Never even heard of a 3DO.
Really? Oh my!
Mike started into the gaming scene. Your first console was the Genesis, right?
Yeah, but the 3DO came after the Genesis,
and then the GameCube.
Yeah,
3DO was 94.
There was a gap there where.
Not gonna lie, I hadn't heard of like half of the things you said.
Oh wow! With the Genesis, you could do Sega CD and 32X as well. You could throw those things on it. Like, there's so many great consoles.
Yeah, I've never played the 3DO, but that would be a cool one to see some stuff come over.
Yeah, and then if you do, if Game Boy is anything, and you want to do handhelds, you got Game Gear, of course. You've got other weird, quirky handhelds that they could say, let's bring on, let's go for these things. Like Neo Geo Pocket Color. I mean, there's the collections, but they could throw that stuff on there. Neo Geo CD. There's just so many, and they can even go to Atari. Let's throw Atari 8-bit.
Don't worry, I've heard of that one.
Oh, good. There's it depends really where, like, how crazy they want to get with the licenses.
Yeah.
And how big of a library they want to do. I mean, obviously, with every console they add, that usually means it's going to be harder for them to put out more games for the older systems that are out there, unless each new console gets its own team. And this is Nintendo. They're probably not doing that. It's probably the same team that was managing NES and SNES is also managing N64 and Genesis, which means they'll also be managing whatever system. And they're probably listening to this going, no, we can't handle that. We're going to give us a heart attack. No. But if Nintendo was smart, they would give a different team per system and let that team work on getting games. And that would get every system equal games coming out, or at least more frequently.
Yeah.
And I think people would like that better.
I'm gonna throw my answer into the ring here. I think it would be very cool to get DS games. I would love to see those somehow work. I know a lot of those are very touchscreen dependent, but But the ones that aren't, like I've seen a lot of emulators that do Pokemon games, and because the second screen basically is just a menu, they just map that to a button that you can swap between the two as needed. And I think that's very workable. So there's some really great titles on the DS that would be...
Did you play the Mega Man ZX and Zero collection?
I didn't, but that would be really cool. We get some...
But it's there. They're there. It's on the Switch. So they were able to do the ZX and ZX Advent, which are DS games, and they had a second screen pop up.
Oh, I didn't know that they were out on the Switch.
Yeah, they're on the Switch. So that's an example of them doing it. One other console I forgot to mention, and I would love to see the most, is Virtual Boy. Let's let the Virtual Boy live again, because the Virtual Boy is awesome.
There's not that many games on it, and
14 in the US.
And Labo VR support.
There you go.
I don't know. It would just be that would be really cool. A cool piece of history.
None of those games have ever been ported either.
Yeah. Maybe they don't have them anymore. Those are gone. But Nintendo does a great job of keeping everything. They have an amazing archive system, so I'm sure it's doable. And then there's, I don't know if this really counts, but there's a lot of WiiWare exclusives that would be really cool to see come over.
Yes.
So just like an NSO WiiWare app that just has those like small like one-off games. This is like before the Wii U, where it had like which a lot of these were on the Wii U as well. But then we come to the Switch, where it's just an indie machine. I mean, the eShop is super flowing with stuff. WiiWare did not have that much, but what it did have was some really unique and cool ideas. There were some great games in that.
Well, I agree.
See that.
Especially because you can't download them anymore, so they're lost to time.
And that's my thought process with the DS as well. As the 3DS and Wii U shut down, there were games that were on the Wii U that were DS games, like Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks. You could almost get the entire... You can get the entire mainline Zelda collection on the Wii U in some fashion. I was going to say, except for Breath of the Wild, but then I'm like, well, wait, no, you can get Breath of the Wild too. So, like, that's really cool. I'd love to see that sort of capability for the Switch. The Switch should just have everything. Like, that would be so cool. This should be the system to end all systems.
Now, what if they're not going to do it, but they're going to do it with the Switch 2, and that's going to be one of the launch features? You'll have everything.
Well, I'll be buying it anyway, so yeah, let's go.
Hey, wait, what was the slogan?
Switch Ultimate.
Was it PlayStation? It does everything. Was that the PS3? One of the game slogans was "It does everything."
It does everything. I think, is that Xbox One?
It might have been Xbox One,
because that was the one where they were like, "This can be a home entertainment
it might have been Xbox One
system."
But like that's what they could do. It does everything and just have all these old consoles. It's on top of backwards compatible to Switch.
Yeah, they do everyone is here, like they did for Smash Bros. But it's with retro consoles. They're like Super Nintendo, and yeah, that's like everyone is here. Oh man! Oh, retro gamers would lose their minds. I mean, like that would be very cool. I would be all for that.
100%. I love it. I'm getting the images now.
I'm sorry to have put that into the universe, because now we will all want something we can't have. Presto the Magnificent, thank you so much for the question. Thanks to everybody who submitted questions this week. Let's quickly move to the last segment of our show here. We have a fun one to talk about, and we're going late here, so we'll kind of breeze through this, but let's talk the PAL topic. And in today's PAL topic, we are going to be talking about pedometers, walking, and Nintendo's interesting relationship with and joy in walking. So we were talking a little bit about this before the show, and Barry actually brought to light that there was a pedometer prior to what I had in my notes as the first. Actually two, because I swapped the order on some. The very first pedometer, and there may have been some prior to this that we're completely forgetting. I don't think so though. Is Pokemon Pikachu, which is like the little Pikachu Tamagotchi toy from the 90s. And that released March 27th, 1998. It looks like a little miniature Game Boy, and you raise a little Pikachu, and it's a step counter. I didn't have one of these. Barry, did you have one of these back in the day?
I didn't have one back in the day, but I do now.
Oh, you do now? Okay. No, that's cool. Micah, do you remember this? Did you have one of these?
Nope, I do not.
It's not sitting in one of those many game buckets that you have around your desk. Like, it has like everything. You got We Speak. It's like, oh yeah, it's in here. And
It's not in here.
It's like the Mary Poppins bag of retro gaming gear. So yeah, this marks the first step into Nintendo's foray into the blended world. It's sort of, I don't know what we'd call this. It's not really, it's kind of augmented reality. It is a gaming app feature that mixes in real world activity. And this would lay dormant after this one off here, until we get personal trainer walking for the Nintendo DS.
Not exactly dormant. They did use the Pokemon Pikachu multiple times. So there was the Pokemon Pikachu, and then there was the sequel, Pokemon Pikachu 2.
Pokemon Pikachu 2, yes.
But then in Japan, Nintendo also used it 2 more times with the Pocket Hello Kitty, which was only released in Japan. It was the same kind of thing, but with Hello Kitty. But it was using the exact same shell as the Pocket Pikachu, and then also the Pocket Sakura, which was only in Japan, which was a tie-in with Sega, actually. And that was also put out. Those are all like 98 era.
98 era. Yeah. So let that sit for like a decade. and then they're like, hey, that was pretty cool. Let's do it again. Well, actually, this comes at an interesting time. We're in the touch generation, in the generation that is appealing very much to a casual gaming market. And we get this game, Personal Trainer Walking, which featured... I saw this, I remember seeing this on the shelf and being like, that's really cool, but I don't know if it's worth picking up because it's a pedometer. I had a pedometer in like the mid 2000s that my parents got for me. My dad was like, this is super cool. You should try and go for this many steps a day. And it was like a way to gamify being active. And I think it had on it like, go for this amount and you just walk around. But Nintendo's taking that concept of gamifying, putting a score to something that you do that's healthy, and taking it a step further and making it a game. And that's what Personal Trainer Walking was supposed to be. I don't know too much about this game. I did not have it or play it. I just remember seeing it on the shelves, and I love Mii games, Switch Sports. I love any game featuring Miis. So I was really, I thought that was, I thought it was cool. Either of you guys play this one?
I haven't played it. I have it.
You do have it. Barry has everything though, so like. But what I did play was what came after this, and I'm trying to find like a specific story, but I believe that with this pedometer basically translated over to become what was a pack-in with Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and that was the Pokewalker. Now, Micah and I both had Pokewalkers. I do remember that. We because at that point, Micah and I were friends.
Fortunately, I don't know where mine is anymore.
I should have brought mine down. It is. I do have them, but they're up in my collection space. Yeah, that exploded where we were at. I remember people, because this would have been high school time frame for us, right, Micah? Like this was high school time.
I think around.
I remember people in like track and field were going crazy with this, and it was wild because it was like the first time. This was like, if for more modern example, do you remember that summer of Pokemon Go? We're going to talk about that as well. But where everybody was talking about Pokemon, it was like that. Slightly smaller.
Come to world peace.
Yeah, seriously.
Slightly smaller scale, but it was like that. I remember everybody had Pokewalkers. And I was like, Pokemon's cool? I'm cool? Because I was always into Pokemon. I never left. I remember walking around at my first job, and I would have that with me, and I'd just be leveling up Pokemon on the side. Because what happened with that is you would use wireless connection between your DS and the Pokewalker to load a Pokemon into the Pokewalker, and as you stepped, it would level up. I believe there was a level cap that it hit until you loaded it back in. And then it would also sometimes pick up items and different things. You could play little games on it. It had like 3 buttons. So, yeah, this is a lot of fun. And it sort of, that sort of stopped there. We didn't see a physical pedometer device come post Pokewalker until we got the 3DS, which is a pedometer. The 3DS had that feature built in, and it was a prominent feature with things like Street Pass, all of the Street Pass minigames, and then almost every game that came within the launch window integrated it in some way and had Street Pass integrated in some way. Kid Icarus Uprising, I remember Street Pass would swap weapons, and it was a thing. You had did you guys play Find Me? I played a ton of Find Me.
Oh, yeah.
That was a blast. And you had to take a certain amount of steps to earn the points that you'd need to get more Miis to play the RPG. And once you ran out, you'd have to wait until you could do more steps and pass more people and get more. What a cool concept. I walked around a lot for that. I had that one in college, and just a whole bunch of Street Pass, because everybody's in college, same age range, age group, and there were so many people with 3DSs. Yeah, a great integrated feature. But to me, I want to talk to you guys what your guys' thoughts are on this history in general. It seems they have moved away from that. There is no step counter on the Switch. Switch doesn't fit in your pocket, first off. I mean, we could try it right now.
Speak for yourself.
Sticks out, yeah. But it doesn't have Street Pass. It doesn't have that functionality. It seems like the walking aspect of Nintendo gaming has moved to mobile. And we saw that shift with Pokemon Go. There's also Pikmin Bloom. And those games are entirely walking focused. So it's interesting Nintendo has that still around, because Nintendo's always been focused on health and healthy living, which is very interesting. No, Xbox has never done this. There is no Xbox pedometer. Oh, I might be completely making stuff up here. But there's not this like
fridge where you store your healthy foods.
That's true.
But there was no like plans for an Xbox Vitality sensor. You know what I'm saying? Like Nintendo's always had this weird hyper focus on fitness.
Remember Pokemon Sleep that never came out?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. There's not an episode that goes by that we don't beg for Pokemon Sleep. You might have teased our post-show topic. That's what I was planning on. Not that in general, but not that specifically. But
if anything could fix my sleep schedule, it would be Pokemon Sleep.
Oh man, it's just interesting. Coming back to Nintendo Switch Sports, if you play for an hour,
still have it in your hand.
It's just off to the side. A pop-up will come up after an hour that says you've been playing for an hour. Maybe it's time for a break. Just like the Wii days, man. Every game. It's time to go play outside. And it would show like a picture of a window. Do you guys remember that? With like the Wii remote on a table.
You're forgetting 2 pedometers.
All right, Barry, what do you got? What other pedometers have we forgotten?
Well, recently there's the Pokeball controller for Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee that is a pedometer, and like the one from Heart Gold, Soul Silver, you can load a Pokemon on it and take it for walks, level it up, find stuff.
I actually didn't know about that.
I didn't know about that feature. No way.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
What? My mind is blown
Pokeball
right now.
controller, you can actually load a Pokemon on it. It'll actually make noise, and you take it for walks, and a pedometer, and it gains stuff and it finds stuff just like in Heart Gold, Soul Silver. And you come back to the Switch and you load it back in, and it levels up and does all that. Yeah, absolutely.
Does it eventually die, and your Pokemon that was in there is just lost to the void?
I don't know.
That's what happened to my Pokemon.
Pretty sure that's what happened to my Portera.
but that is a feature for that. So that is a pedometer.
That is
But
sweet.
before that, you missed one. On the last console generation, the Wii U, Wii Fit U came with a pedometer, and you could actually purchase it separately.
That's right. I do remember that one. I completely blanked on that.
That's why I'm here.
That's why Barry's here. Barry's here, correcting the history books. Man, and that one was like, gosh, I'm trying to think. Remember what that one looked like.
It looks like the Pokewalker. It was extra pretty much they had extra, and they just let's use this again. And it has the 3 buttons and everything. It's the Pokewalker, but with white and green.
Just a little reskinning.
Oh my gosh! Yes, I forgot about this. It is exact, and that might be in the history books where I'm misremembering. Like it wasn't the personal trainer walking transferred to this. This was just straight up oh, we have extra Pokewalkers. Let's put these in here.
Yep.
Which, man, what a cool idea. I would totally buy if they made this for the Switch. If they made little pedometer, I would totally buy it. I mean, they did with the Pokeball Plus, but I didn't play Let's Go.
Do they really need to, though, when they can just make an app for your phone?
Right.
Which everyone essentially has all the time.
Which is what they have done.
Well, we need to see Wii Fit or Nintendo Switch Fit now to do that.
I mean, we do have the leg strap, and it's just...
just strap that to your leg.
You're just walking around everywhere. Oh man, it's interesting. I just find it fascinating that they came up with this concept of let's gamify walking, and have stuck with it to this day. I mean, Pokemon Go, Pikmin Bloom just came out last year. Pokemon Go still supported heavily. And it's just, I just think that's interesting. It's a quirky piece of Nintendo history. And Barry has all of it. He has all of them. Do you have the Wii U pedometer? I have been looking for a Wii Fit U copy because I never played that one. And I love the Wii Fit and Wii Fit Plus are fantastic games.
Well, for the low price of $280, you can get it from Walmart.
Yeah, the low price. You can find a Wii balance board at every thrift store. There's 10 of them. They're all over the place. I remember walking into a thrift store once, and there were 5 Wii balance boards. I was like, I wonder if
you can get it on Amazon for $9.90.
There you go.
It's pretty good. Do you have the balance board already, though?
Yeah, I do. So I'll just snag that. Wonder if I get the pedometer as well. I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna party with my Wii U fitness like it's 2016. Oh man, yeah. So that's really all I had to talk about with it was what a weird piece of history. That there's so much to it, that they've kept up with. We could talk about fitness games in general, but that is much more in depth and goes even further back, going all the way back to track and field with the track and field pad. But yeah, pedometers. And now every phone has this built in. So, yeah. Like Micah said, what's the point of making a device?
Or you get a Fitbit.
Yep. Maybe that's
smartwatch.
Maybe that's where we're going next. The next Nintendo Switch will have its own smartwatch that comes with it. That'd be cool. I'd be all for that. I love these weird one-off hardware things like this. You know, I got the Wii Zapper, all the extra plastic you could buy with the Wii, but like little pedometers. Those the Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver, the Pokewalker goes for a lot of money now. Like just the Pokewalker alone, I think is like $80.
Everything's going up.
Maybe I should find mine.
I kind of could use that. Yeah. Do you guys have any closing thoughts on Nintendo pedometers, Nintendo walking?
It's interesting that Nintendo did this, and I think it helps make a lot of people healthier, at least for a time, especially with Pokemon Go. But Nintendo likes to go to their, beat to their own drum, so why not?
Their own unique thing. Yeah, because I didn't really think it was that weird, but thinking about it, I was like, yeah, I don't know of any Xbox/Microsoft or Sony pedometers linked to any of their games.
Yeah, they just don't do stuff like that. No. That's not the innovation they're pushing. And these are like super, you'd think they're like super one-off ideas, but this just kept going for 20 plus years now. So yeah, it's super interesting. Well, that's about it for the show. We'll walk it off and finish out the show here. I want to give a huge shout out and thanks to everybody who is listening. For those joining us for the first time, who've stuck with us till the end of this episode, y'all are awesome. Be sure again to leave us a 5-star review on your podcast listening app of choice. Links to all that for quick access are in the description of the episode. And huge thanks to Barry Carenza for coming out, visiting with us again, talking premium edition games. Super fun to go over all the stuff that's coming. May 10th is the day, so mark your calendars for all of those games that are going to be up for pre-order that you can pick up physical copies for. And Barry, anything else you want to plug before we head on out?
Yeah, just reiterate, premiumeditiongames.com, May 10th till June 10th for Wonderling DX and Rain in Your Parade. Remember, those retro editions are 500 copies only, so make sure to get those orders in. The dog tags will also be up, and stay tuned later in the summer for the Classic Series and later in this year for Raji and the rest of Series 5. And also, like Andro said, Nintendo Fuse, you can go to nintendofuse.com or youtube.com/nintendofuse, as well as all podcast listening services for the Nintendo Fuse podcast and the Premium Playcast.
Awesome. And if you want to follow us, you can do that by checking out our many social media channels. We are on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, and we have our own Discord. So follow us on many of our social media channels. Just search Nintendo Pals. You'll find us. We're up there. We have that name. That's us in the search results. And for Micah and myself, we're super thankful to have gotten so many new listeners and new support over the past few weeks. So thanks to everybody for being here. And we will close it out with a closing remark by Barry. Give us your closeout.
Remember, Nintendo does care about you. That's why they give you pedometers. But they don't care about you enough to give you the games you want.
We'll talk to you all next week.